You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Tuesday, the first such one of December. Hope your week got off to a good start. Thanks for being with us. Just hold on one second. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. And that was a pretty loud one, a pretty long one for the road.
Yeah, there's no doubt, David. You've gotten to the point of the football season where your given F meter is down a little lower. I mean, you actually, you've got what? 2 college games, 1 college game left, right? Army, Navy, that's it.
Army, Navy, and the Sun Bowl.
Oh, the Sun Bowl. And and then, a handful of NFL games.
Yep.
You can see the finish line. You don't care if you upset the guy in room 343 anymore.
Well, here's the good thing. I had some inside information a moment ago. Found out that the guy staying in the room next to me was Joe Buck's stats guy. And the guy below me was Joe Buck's spotter. Well, I know that they left at 5 o'clock to head to Logan to, go home. In fact, they both sent me a text that said, "Hey, man, let it rip this morning." I went, okay. So let it rip we did.
Did they let you know, yesterday in one of the many meetings you attend or a breakfast or a lunch or whatever the case may be, that you woke them up or that they heard you in any way, shape, or form doing the show?
So it's funny you say that. Ed, who was next door to me, said, "Yeah, I didn't hear a word. I slept through it all." I went, okay, good to know. And the guy below me said, "Were you like moving cattle at some point during the show?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Around 5:30. There was all this noise." I said, "Well, I was having trouble with the chair. The chair was sticking and I couldn't get the wheels to move. And so I was having to move it manually." He goes, "Yeah, it sounded like a herd of cattle up above me. I didn't know what was going on." I go,
"So you've always been worried about the right and the left when it actually could be the below."
Yeah.
That you're infringing upon with the show in the morning. Oh, well, hey, whatever.
Yep. But fortunately, I'm at the very end of the hallway. So I'm literally facing outside, if you will. So I, had it taken care of this morning. Could let it rip. And after that toe tapper last night.
Holy cow. I mean, I caught the beginning. My mother-in-law is in town. She's leaving today. So my wife, my mother-in-law, and I went to get a bite because the daughter has gymnastics on Monday.
Right.
And we left right as the game was starting from the restaurant we were at to pick up the daughter and go home. Well, normally, if it's just the wife and I, the game's on. Well, more people in the car. I can't you can't have the radio on.
Right.
I get home.
And it's over.
It's like 8:45.
It's over.
And we do this and that, and I turn the game on. I'm like, I'll be damned. This thing's about over.
Yes, it is. And Mark, you hit it right on the head. Feel free to share with our listeners, okay, at what point it has gotten with Clint Eastwood here on his front porch. All right. What did you notice immediately when you turned on the TV, which had me damn near rooting for that team, even though they were playing the team, one of my 2 or 3 favorites in the world. Okay. But what did the Patriots do last night, Mark?
Well, David, I noticed a little before 8 o'clock because, ESPN was on the TVs where I was having dinner last night. We were seated at the bar, and I went, I'll be damned. Look at the Pats and the throwbacks. David happy. I'm like, I said, how happy are you, David? Pats wearing the throwbacks.
Yeah.
Come on. You've got one of the worst teams in the league playing one of the best teams in the league. The result is actually exactly how it should have been last night. I know the NFL can give us great surprises and everybody can beat everybody and all that stuff, but at this point of the year, it typically doesn't happen. It will, but it doesn't a lot. And, you got a snoozer last night, but the home team won and they looked good doing it.
Yeah, they looked great. I love those uniforms. I hated when Kraft switched. Okay, I know, new owner, and, we're going to start winning, and, we didn't really win. I get all that. I'm sorry. I love that helmet. Red's my favorite color. I thought the Patriots looked great, honestly. They're on the field. I go, well, I think I'm rooting for that team because look how good they look. They look great. And then they go out and they look like one of the best teams in the NFL, and it's like, oh, son of a gun. Son of a gun. And that team just got done playing 13 straight weeks because now they go to their bye. I mean, that was a team that in theory was vulnerable last night. The left side of their offensive line was out injured. They were tired. They're on fumes. Okay. Which shows you just what a mess the Giants are. If that's a tired, on fumes, 4 starters out with injuries team, and they whooped them.
When I drive in the morning, I always leave to listen to the 4-Letter Network do their overnight newscast. And at the bottom of the hour, they always start on Tuesday with Monday Night Football. And then I hear your guys. They always go to a little bit of Joe and Troy and their reaction from the game. And it was funny because they kind of, I don't want to say conflicted one another, but Joe said one thing and Troy said, yeah, let me tell you about football. But Joe talked about knowing Vrabel a little bit, and he's been around him a lot, and he's been around him socially, and what a fun guy he is, and what a funny person he is, and how the players are just letting it rip, and a lot of it's because of the coach. And, Troy's like, yeah, he's a tough guy. I mean, he kind of stepped on what Joe said, but if you took what both of them said and said, both of these can be true, if you think about it, going into the bye, that's where the fun and tough can mix. It's like, all right, boys, go take care of business tonight, and now you got a week off. You've worked your asses off here for several months to get to the point that you're at. Go out, take care of business, and then you can have a little fun for a few days. And that's, to me, how the Patriots played last night. That was workmanlike, that was businesslike, but it was also a team knowing that they had, I guess, like anybody. I mean, last week for us, David, I put a lot of effort into getting the best ofs recorded and sent to the company that distributes them, and I've got to do a lot of work for that. But what was the reward? 2 days off. We packed, you had to pack all the guests and work. We had to work a little harder last week. But for us, we got our bye week, Thursday and Friday off, and it was delightful. And, for the Patriots at this point of the year, when you're just working your tail off and you're hurting and you're sore and you want an ice tub and you want a day off, well, you don't want to do it with a lazy effort going into it. And they had a workmanlike effort. They were very good again, and they just whipped a bad New York Giant football team.
I believe early in the broadcast, Troy was talking about how, Vrabel is part of the Belichick tree. Okay, not just coaching-wise, but on the field success-wise. And then Joe added, yeah, but he's a little touchy-feely. And then sure enough, they went to the sidelines, and Vrabel is literally, touching, high-fiving, patting on the shoulder. He goes the whole bench after a series in which I don't know if it was getting a stop or getting a score, and so the video kind of matched up with what the two of them were talking about. I will say this, they played last night an unbelievably fundamentally sound game. I counted one missed tackle in the game by the Patriots. One. And they were very hard hitting.
And that hit on the sideline on the quarterback, first off, it was incredibly legal.
Yes, it was.
Secondly, every referee at every level and every linebacker, I hope, gets a piece of that film. Because all the quarterbacks that try to make these jukes and want to get an extra yard and cut up field, that's what should happen to you.
I thought it was the best part of the broadcast last night because I will say live, Joe and Troy saw it the same. They saw him in bounds. They saw that as a legal hit right away. But you're waiting for the flag. Why? It's a quarterback near the sideline. But between Troy mentioning, hey, that's a legal hit, he was in bounds to me, and then Russell York, the referee in the booth, saying, hey, there have been a lot of videos sent out to all these teams and quarterbacks about, hey, when you leave the pocket, you're a runner. And if you don't want to get hit, you got to get down or you got to get out of bounds. All right. If you're right at the sideline, you're going to be treated as a running back. And then Troy mentioned how, the Mahomes and the Josh Allens of the world, and he didn't mention them by name, but he said, there have been guys in the last couple of years that are playing games on the sidelines. Am I in? Am I out? They start slowing down. And, the league in that moment kind of let it be known, man, if you ain't out, you getting hit, at least by the Patriots you are.
And if you're out and you hit him, it's 15. I get it. I mean, you're walking a fine line as a defender, but that just kind of tickled me to see a quarterback get jacked the way we used to see players get hit. And everybody got ticked off and there was a little brouhaha, whatever. But to me, it was about the hit. David, let me ask you a question. You've been covering football a long time. Now you've been doing it in person, working at the highest level with the biggest broadcasters. Have you ever seen a kick whiffed before?
Absolutely not. No, closest thing was Sean Landeta whiffing on a punt in a playoff game in 85, Giants against the Bears, but that was wind-induced. He dropped the ball, and the wind literally moved it a foot and a half to the right, and he kicked it, and he barely grazed it. No, Mark, that's a golfer on a tee that takes a big swing and the club stops 3 inches behind the ball. Okay. And everybody looks around like, do we give him a mulligan or is he hitting 2?
Hey, we're going racing today. That NASCAR lawsuit thing's still going on. Bob Pockrass will join us, Fox Sports NASCAR reporter. Joe Henderson to see who USF's going to hire, and it's Tuesday. That means Pat Kirwan. But when we come back, we'll count how many times Lane Kiffin lied yesterday. Miller and Moulton. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. This December, watch the nation's best high school basketball players compete in the City of Palms Classic. Fort Myers will once again welcome future college and NBA stars as they square off at Suncoast Arena from December 18th through the 23rd. Come see Southwest Florida's own Bishop Verreau versus Barron Collier on Sunday night, December 21st. For tournament information, please visit cityofpalmsclassic.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I gotta tell you, chat room, you guys are in attack mode already. I mean, we've just started the show, and I read through those chats, and we can't suck enough. The topic that we talk about is the wrong thing. The things that we say are the wrong thing. I mean, you guys are angry this morning, but whatever. Not you, Go Raiders. You know who you are. Hey, the UF coach, Summerall won the presser yesterday. He was terrific. Got off the plane with the Gator chomp, said all the right things at the press conference, said he recruits his ass off, wants to win long term, but I don't have any patience. I want to win now. How can you, honestly, I know you're not happy with the hire, but how can you not be happy with the presser? If you're a Gator fan, I mean, how can you not support that guy? I get it. You wanted Lane. It's not his fault that you don't have Lane.
Johnny, I got to admit, I don't know why you listen to the show. Every comment, we suck.
That's what I just got done saying.
I don't get it.
What I said. You're literally you had your headset.
Okay, but I'm allowed.
No, I know. I don't. Not just them.
Yeah, sure, yes, they were, but the focus was on the Patriots because they're the good team. I don't think people want to hear us talk about a 2-11 team for very long. Hell, they don't even want to talk about them in New York. Yes, Johnny Finger Lakes is a Johnny Yo, I think, or Johnny Triple O or something.
Well, I got to, Puck, you're the other one. Everything we say, you just attack. We talk about Vrabel. You just, everybody wants to hear about the Patriots. You don't, Puck, you very rarely say anything friendly anymore. You just attack everybody, including us. But it's your prerogative, man. But I don't get it. Yeah, no, but we haven't done much golf in a while ago, Raiders. It's not golf season.
Well, go Raiders. It's not that we love it. It's that the markets that we're in are two of the top 3 markets in the country for the sport. I mean, we're doing a show largely to Florida. It's the number 1 state for golf in the country, television-wise. EB, Lane won his presser by being there. And I'm not being a jerk. Lane won his presser by choosing LSU.
Yep.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Jam-packed show today. Bob Pockrass at the top of the hour. Michael Jordan versus NASCAR. It's a little more than that, but not really.
I will say, I'm happy that we're having Bob on because he's a great guest and it is an interesting story. I am fascinated over the fact that nobody in the sports world there's no talk about this. NASCAR there is, but it just shows you what's happened. Because come on, this is Michael Jordan taking on a sports league. And the amount of care for that or passion for that is inside the sport. I don't even know how much there is inside the sport. Outside of the sport, I'm stunned there's not more because this is sexy. This is it's not about racing. It's about taking on the system. And I'm amazed how few people care about it.
Michael Jordan trying to fundamentally change NASCAR, and I mean really change the NASCAR series. And if he wins, NASCAR will never be the same again. And if he loses, he's out of the sport.
Dave,
here's my question before we go further. Okay, and I'm being serious about this. The federal trial is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Who's more popular in Charlotte, North Carolina? I mean, that's essentially Tobacco Road for NASCAR. That's where the NASCAR Hall of Fame is. Charlotte, North Carolina, that is home. But it's Michael Jordan in the state of North Carolina, in the biggest city in North Carolina. Honestly, who's the bigger deal? The entire sport of NASCAR or the biggest athlete of the last 40 years?
Who happens to be a Tar Heel.
Right.
Yeah. No, I still say NASCAR.
Okay.
And I don't think it's that close.
Oh, all right.
If this trial were in the Triangle,
right,
in the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area,
right,
Edge MJ.
Okay.
Charlotte's a different animal.
It's 3 hours away, right? It is. Yep. I mean, but so I was just curious about that. I mean, if we were Josh Graham and we were, in Winston-Salem doing a show before that trial started, that might have been my poll question. So who's bigger, NASCAR or Jordan?
So I'm fascinated by the story. I'm more fascinated why it hasn't really gathered any traction.
I think it will beginning today. The college football regular season has ended. There's not a lot of buzz around these conference championship games, and the NFL week has been put to bed. Okay, my guess is today and tomorrow it's going to gain a little steam.
We'll see.
And
we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. It's not gained any thus far.
No. And you got Michael Jordan dressed up, walking in and out of federal court. I mean, he's there. He's going to be there every day. Okay, he's probably going to take the stand.
21,000 is the text line. The Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. 21,000, keywords Miller, if you've never texted the show before. I am curious. Just let me know. One, are you even aware of this story? And two, if you're a NASCAR fan, how much interest do you have? I'd love to know. But I also ask everybody listening this question, and I'm going to ask it of my co-host, and I'm going to ask it of the person that my co-host works for. In fact, both of the people you work for. One, Gary, you've worked with for 20 years. Troy, you've worked with for now like 10, right?
Yeah, this is eighth season, yeah.
8.
Oh.
8 with 8. All right. Do you think Troy Aikman knows how much money he makes? Do you think when he signed his contract with ESPN, not to mention it was public and we all knew, do you think Troy Aikman, when he signed his contract, was aware of his annual salary on his contract?
Mark, I think he's aware of A, not only what he makes from Disney, but B, all of the business ventures under the Troy Aikman Enterprises umbrella, how they're doing. Yes, I do.
You think Gary's aware of his CBS contract in his last year of what he's going to make this year?
Yes. I think he's well aware.
74 W-2s. Well, not as many anymore because I don't know if you're still doing Jacksonville play-by-play. But you're down to like 3.
4 or 5. Yeah. Yeah, I think they're all on one hand now. I'm pretty confident my tax returns are all just a handful of forms.
Okay. I have 2 jobs. I do this show. I do real estate as well. Anybody looking to buy or sell a home, I'm ready for you. I know what I make. So when Lane Kiffin, who just became either the highest paid or equaled the highest paid coach, I think he's getting the same as Kirby, goes in front of a microphone and says, well, I don't even know how much money I'm making. Shut up. Like, look it. LSU won. They got the prettiest girl at the dance to go home with them. We all understand it. Good for them. We'll see if he can have more success than Brian Kelly had at LSU. Seems like that would be pretty easy. But you never know. But my goodness. And like many people have said, this is America after all. And with the way these contracts are written, they're free to go and get new jobs. Some of us don't have that same freedom to leave our job and get another job. But most of us, quite frankly, do. Most of us have the ability, if another company's looking to hire us, to leave what we're doing and go work somewhere else, better situation, new city, more money, whatever the case may be. I do not begrudge a dollar that man is making. I'm all for it. The more you can earn, good for you, whatever it is that you do. But why do you have to say things that we know are just blatant lies? Why? Why? And then, we found out yesterday. We had a pretty good idea. Matt Moscona was on the show. Man covers LSU like nobody's business. Nobody's better at covering LSU. This charade that Lane had to go pray after the game in the Egg Bowl to make his decisions a crock of you-know-what. It's just one lie after another lie after another lie. Enough already. I wanted to coach give Brian Kelly credit. He's a lot of things, and I can understand all the reasons why people don't like Brian Kelly. I get it. What did Brian Kelly say? I came here because I thought I had a better chance of winning a national championship.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. Now.
There you go.
Yep. Now the system changed 4 minutes after he left, and he really could have stayed and maybe had as good or better chance. And we've talked about that at length, about how well-positioned Notre Dame is in the current college football landscape and seemingly in the future college football landscape also. That it's got to be a top 3 job in the country, in our estimation. But yes, at the time, the only
person that's ever poo-pooed the Notre Dame job to us in that regard is Bud Elliott, because he says they have a really difficult time bringing in transfers that are not grad transfers. That's maybe the only negative of the Notre Dame job, that they can't go portal shopping the way others can go portal shopping. And it's still a little harder to get into. But getting the playoff every year, they seem to have an unfair advantage right now.
If you've listened to the show for any length of time, you know that I have claimed in 40 years of covering sports that the number one liar in the history of sports is Urban Meyer. Okay, he's a serial liar. He was the best at it. Okay, look you straight in the eye and lie constantly. Lane is now in Urban's area code, and no one, Mark, in my career was in Urban Meyer's lying area code. Lane Kiffin is now in Urban territory, and I just got to give it up to you. I really do, Lane. Congratulations.
Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent you.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Did the lion go all lion?
And Pius, not only did he climb into it, because I had the story up this morning as well, he scaled a 26-foot fence to get in the enclosure because he apparently wanted to be a lion tamer. It didn't work out well.
Did he survive?
No.
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 Fam, I have to believe, since it's gone as far up the totem pole as it has at BYU, that he's staying. Because first off, he's telling them what his issues are here, and they wanted to hear them. So my guess is they will address it. He's gone, 23-3 the last two regular seasons? I can't imagine they let him leave. And there's no way, seriously, name the schools who have more money than BYU. Feel free. Not the schools that generate more money, the schools that have more money.
Well, they generate it every week at Mass.
I mean, seriously, we said this 3 years ago when the landscape was changing. We said, look out for BYU. Mr. Spivey, I would love to know. I'll bet it's close. And I'm not talking endowment.
I would take your team, Mr. Spivey, but I think people would be shocked at how close it is. I would bet on Notre Dame, but we've said it for a while.
Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem at all. May not be their morality, might not be the road they really want to go down, playing at the upper ends of the college sports spectrum, but when they were joining the Big 12, Miller and Moulton were like, look out.
No, Liberty isn't in the area code yet. Johnny Mac. It's a nice guess. Thanks for playing.
Right.
I don't know if they're a medalist yet, but
they're an up and comer.
But trust me, people are looking at them going, in 3 to 5 years, they could be a problem.
Like yesterday, we did the playoff graphic on Monday Night Football, and we called those that were just on the outside, we labeled them hovering. We have a different title every week. This week, we went with hovering. I will say it's the most fun part of the production meeting.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Bob Pockrass at the top of the hour to talk about the federal suit pitting Michael Jordan against NASCAR, and the future of the sport and what it will look like is literally at stake. Joe Henderson an hour from now to talk about South Florida. Where are they going to go for their next head coach? I have a poll question based off of that, Mark, if you're interested.
Okay.
All right. I mean, don't know if you want me to throw it at you now or wait until next hour.
You can throw it at me.
All right. Here's my suggestion.
And then I'll spend the entire starting 5 deciding how much I like it.
Exactly. Okay.
In fact, I'll see if I want to make up lies and tell you that I was thinking about whether or not I wanted to type it the entire starting 5.
You can Lane Kiffin it as much as you want. All right. Here's my suggestion for a poll question.
Call that Orgeron.
Okay. Should South Florida, who should South Florida hire as their next football coach? A, John Gruden. B, anyone else?
All right. It's under consideration.
All right. I like it. Joe Henderson an hour from now to talk about South Florida moving forward. Pat Kirwan at the top of our 8 a.m. Eastern hour to talk Week 13 in the NFL. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is The Starting Five.
The Starting 5 brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. It's the hottest band in the country. It's BST, Business, Sports, and Tourism. NFL, Patriots have won 10 in a row. First team in NFL history to lose 13 or more games one year and have a 10-game winning streak the next. Patriots are 11-2. That's the best record in the league. They whooped up on the Giants. Game wasn't even as close as the 33-15 final score. Drake May, number 1 in completion percentage in the league. He's got to be near the top of the MVP race, right? 2 touchdowns, another efficient day. It's remarkable that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year, yet to have a 300-yard passing day. Patriots led 17-0 after the first quarter, 30-7 at the half. Giants fall to 2-11. They lost 7 in a row. Abdul Carter benched the entire first quarter. Interim head coach Mike Kafka calling it a coaching decision. I wonder if it was an organizational decision. This is the second time in as many weeks that Abdul Carter has been punished by the Giants. Clearly, something is going on behind the scenes. He ain't showing up for stuff. He's late for stuff. Something is going on with Abdul Carter and the Giants. Other NFL news, Colts defensive back Sauce Gardner, who left the loss against Houston, and everyone feared it was a bad Achilles injury. The Colts say it is not a bad Achilles injury, that he is, quote, okay. He will not be sent to the injured list. As for whether or not he'll play this week against the Jags, that's to be determined. Same with Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. He had left hand surgery yesterday on a broken left hand. Chargers play Monday night at home against the Eagles. Will Herbert play? The Chargers will wait and see. And certainly Jim Harbaugh will be very forthcoming with the information. I don't think there's any question about that. Adam Thielen, who the Vikings gave up 2 mid-round draft picks to acquire before the start of this season from Carolina, he asked for and was granted his release from the Vikings because the 35-year-old wide receiver has decided this is his final year and he doesn't want to end it playing meaningless games in Minnesota. So he's going to try to hook up with someone and play a couple of meaningful games before he calls it a career. College Football Playoff Committee releases its rankings tonight. The top 10 teams tonight are in the playoffs. That's what you need to realize. The top 10 would be in if the playoffs were starting this coming weekend, and then you add a group of 5 champion and you add potentially an ACC or Sun Belt champion to it. So,
is James Madison going to be ranked? Is Duke going to be ranked? Those are the things at the bottom of this, as well as where's Navy? Where's Tulane? And I say Navy because of Notre Dame. The bottom of this, pay attention to tonight because we think it matters for them to justify what they're doing. That's why it matters.
That's the 2 sets of intrigue tonight. The top, which is top 10 are in, 11 through 14 are the bubble. Are any of those 4 spots, any of those teams playing in a conference championship game to help their cause? Based on last week's poll, the only one who's in is BYU. Everyone else is done for the regular season and in theory can't help their chances. And yes, then you've got the bottom. How many from the American? Is James Madison ranked? Is Duke ranked? This is all important because they're playing in conference championship games. And remember, it's the 5 highest ranked conference champions that get automatic bids. It is possible the Sun Belt champion will be ranked higher than the ACC champion. Hence, they would get a spot and the ACC champion wouldn't. Bunch of new head coaches were introduced yesterday. Lane at LSU, John Sumrall at Florida, Alex Golish at Auburn. Mark, I agree with you. Sumrall was terrific at his presser.
Was awesome. He was awesome.
I mean, there were 38 people that greeted him at the airport and on campus when he walked in. I mean, Alex Golish damn near walked into a basketball game. Okay, he had so many people at Auburn fired up for him. Sumrall, I mean, you know, if you didn't know any better, if there weren't TV cameras around, you'd be like, you know, you wouldn't even think second about the guy. But he won the presser. We'll see what happens from there. He did in his presser say that he called Lane Kiffin and essentially asked him between Auburn and Florida, which job would you take? And Lane said Florida. Quick sidebar. Did you see the report that came out last night that basically said Lane Kiffin wanted the Florida job and Scott Strickland ruined it?
Yeah, well, I mean, right from the get-go.
That Strickland said he didn't want, Lane's got a right-hand guy that run the football operations. Strickland's like, nope, I got my guy, and you know, and he's going to be independent of you. And Lane got a bad vibe from Strickland, kind of like, yeah, this ain't going to work. Okay, that he sensed that Strickland didn't really want him.
Exactly. No, I mean, the first conversation that they had, David,
right?
Strickland thought he had hand. How with all the other coaches that had been fired, did Strickland think that he had hand? I'm telling you, I hope for the Florida fans' sake out there that Summerall does a great job and he does what you want. As I was texting with one of my Florida buddies yesterday, I'm like, okay, what's a good year one? 8-4, 9-3, and you beat Georgia, right? Otherwise, is the year considered good? And you Florida fans now have become as toxic damn near as the LSU fan, if you know what I mean.
Kentucky hired Oregon offensive coordinator Will Stein to be their next head coach. He's from Kentucky, born and raised a Wildcat fan. And James Madison head coach Bob Chesney has emerged as the leader for the UCLA job. Reportedly, he'll get a 5-year deal. NASCAR, we've been talking about it all morning. Bob Pockrass to join us in 15 minutes. Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin and the 23 XI race team, along with Front Row Motorsports, began their federal trial versus NASCAR yesterday. A jury of 9 was seated in a Charlotte, North Carolina courtroom. Jordan and company allege they are losing money with NASCAR's charter system and are trying to change the sport's finances. Trial expected to last 2 weeks. The judge is Kenneth Bell. He chastised both sides in court yesterday. He's made many a ruling all year favoring both sides along the way. He ultimately is not the arbiter here. A 9-person jury is. College basketball, the rankings came out. Purdue remains number 1. Arizona's up to 2. Michigan moved up 4 spots to number 3. You may have missed it over the holiday weekend. Did you see what Michigan did to Gonzaga? At one point, they were leading by 43. 43 against a top 10 Gonzaga team on a neutral floor. Wow. Duke 4, UConn 5. Gators, by the way, who suffered a loss over the weekend, they're 15th. Highest SEC team is Bama at 12, 7 ranked from the SEC, 6 in the Big 10, 6 in the Big 12, just 3 in the ACC, 2 in the Big East. And Gonzaga, I said top 10, they came in the new poll at 11. NBA, active night. The Heat hit a club record 24 threes. They went on a 30-2 second half run. They beat the Clippers 140-123. The Clippers are 5-16. They were like one of the top 5 betting favorites to win the NBA championship in September. They're 5-16.
By the way, the Magic are 14-7. They're 3rd in the East. I mean, give it up for what the Magic have done through the first 20 games of the season here. They need to. It needs to be acknowledged. They did a bunch of this without Hero. I mean, they're playing great basketball.
Well, Hero's with the Heat, so I didn't know if you're talking the Heat or the Magic. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, the Heat.
Yes,
give it up for the Heat. Yeah,
totally.
Give it up for the Heat here. I mean,
yeah. No, this just in, Spoelstra can coach. They've gone young. They've gone athletic. It's a very entertaining and so far successful product. Mark, though, speaking of the Magic.
You're talking about the Clippers. I'm sorry. So I went Heat. That's all.
Right. I know, but you said Magic. That's why you threw me off. Magic.
Oh, I did. I apologize.
Magic beat the Bulls 125-120. Desmond Bain scored 18 of his 37 in the fourth. Your Pistons are 17-4, Mark. They edged Atlanta 99-98. Meanwhile, the Pacers flip it. They're 4-17. They lost at home to Cleveland 135-119. The Wizards picked up their 3rd win of the year. Yeah. 3rd win. They beat Milwaukee 129-126. Dallas went into Denver. Anthony Davis, who's probably on the trade block, 2nd game back from injury at 32. Mavs beat the Nuggets 131-121. Nets with a rare win. They beat Charlotte by 13. Utah got the better of Houston 133-125. And Phoenix ended the Lakers' 7-game win streak in LA 125-108. 5 games in the NHL last night. You know, this Crosby guy is going to have a good career. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, I'm sorry. He has 18 goals in 25 games this year, and he's 38 years old. He's on the pace for 58 goals. He's 38. He has 643 in his career. 2 goals for Sid the Kid. Penguins 5-1 over the Flyers.
He likes playing against Philadelphia. He has nearly 60 goals just against the Flyers. He's about to catch Lemieux to become the all-time Penguins leading scorer. That's Mario Lemieux.
Now, granted, Lemieux played 400 less games. That's besides the point. But, we're just by the way, how lucky have you been as a fan that Sidney Crosby's your second best player in franchise history? Golly. Columbus went into Jersey, surprised the Devils 5-3. Buffalo, the Sabres are 500 mark in December. They beat Winnipeg 5-1. Anaheim 4-1 over St. Louis. And San Jose doubled up the Mammoth, who are skidding. They've fallen all the way to 500 as Utah. 6-3, San Jose.
3 teams in the league. 3 teams in the league currently under 500.
Adam Fox put on long-term injured reserve by the Rangers. Hagel with the hit into the boards, injured his shoulder. He's going to miss at least 10 games. And the Mets signed reliever Devin Williams to a 3-year, $51 million deal last night. And at 7 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories, and Michael Jordan against NASCAR here on Miller and Moulton. Bob Pockrass to talk about that court case. And Joe Henderson to talk about South Florida next hour. I'm Miller and Moulton. The 2025 Industry Appreciation Awards in Fort Myers have wrapped up, but the celebration of business excellence continues, hosted by the Lee County Economic Development Office, Horizon Council, and Horizon Foundation. This annual event honors the innovators, job creators, and community builders driving the region forward. Visit industryappreciationawards.com to see this year's winners and learn how local businesses are shaping a stronger, more resilient economy for Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. The 2025 Industry Appreciation Awards in Fort Myers have wrapped up, but the celebration of business excellence continues, hosted by the Lee County Economic Development Office, Horizon Council, and Horizon Foundation. This annual event honors the innovators, job creators, and community builders driving the region forward. Visit industryappreciationawards.com to see this year's winners and learn how local businesses are shaping a stronger, more resilient economy for Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah!
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, Be Cape.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Would be amazing, Adam. I don't think it's happening, or the BYU thing wouldn't have come out. I think they tried. And I think if Alabama would have lost against Auburn, I think the possibility was there. By the way, if you were interviewing the Louisiana governor, would your first question be, how can the buyout for Lane Kiffin be $20 million more than it was for Brian Kelly?
Yeah, my first question would be, so what happened in the last 3 weeks when you said we're never going to do another deal like Brian Kelly, and in fact, you trumped it?
Yeah, you're right. You didn't. He gets more money if he gets fired.
With a
And
bigger
by more
buyout.
money, it's $20 million, and he doesn't have to work. I mean, it's the perfect buy. That's his.
Right. My second question would then be, did you have anything to do with it? Or basically, were you just political grandstanding and, well, the serious people took care of this?
Oh, Johnny Finger Lakes, I know. All we're saying is that if we were talking to these people, if we were those journalists talking, these are questions we would ask. I understand that he's a liar. He's a politician, goes with the territory, but no one's calling him on his lies. That's the problem. Oh, I got to call Bob. Crap.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this first Tuesday in December. Thanks so much for being with us. Hope your week got off to a great start. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Pat Kirwan joins us 1 hour from now. We'll put week 13 to bed. As we begin to turn for home in the NFL, Joe Henderson to join us in about 35 minutes to talk about where do the Bulls of South Florida go from here. But right now, something that is fascinating Miller and Moulton. We don't know how many of you are fascinated by it, but we think you should be. It is Michael Jordan versus NASCAR in a Charlotte federal courtroom. Bob Pockrass covers motorsports, but particularly NASCAR for Fox. He is on top of this. He is in the courtroom. You can follow Bob on X at Bob Pockrass, Pockrass. Bob, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this again. How surreal for you was yesterday, of all the places that you've been covering motorsports? I'm guessing a federal courtroom was not one of them till yesterday.
Well, there have been some lawsuits before in federal court, so have been in federal court over 20 years, but a little surreal to see Michael Jordan on one side and Jim France, NASCAR's chairman and co-owner, on the other side, and seeing 9 jurors who potentially could decide how NASCAR is run starting next season.
How surprised, Bob, are you that it's gone this far? I mean, both sides dug their heels in pretty early and seemingly wanted, at least Jordan wanted to get this far. I don't think NASCAR did. The fact that they're in federal court, how surprised are you that they weren't able to get a deal done before this point?
I think both sides are pretty surprised. I think especially everybody watching is surprised. Typically these type of lawsuits settle. Very rarely do they go to trial. And very rarely do they go to trial within a year. Typically, these types of cases take 2 or 3 years to get to trial. This judge was very adamant that this trial will be done in this off season, so that there would be only 1 year, this past year, where the teams would be in this kind of limbo of, are they chartered, are they open? He wanted to get this done, and it is being done, and it's being done relatively quickly, as they're going to try to get this done in 10 days.
Bob, is this essentially Michael Jordan along with Denny Hamlin and Front Row Motorsports saying the way the NASCAR system is set up, we can't make money?
That's what they allege. They say it takes $20 million to field a car before you start paying for a driver and start doing things like marketing, and that NASCAR only pays them now $12 to $13 million under this new charter deal. And they say, it's difficult to get the sponsorships to cover the rest, and that unless you have somebody like Michael Jordan who can bring in, $30-40 million of sponsorship for a multi-car team, that you're just not going to be able to have an economically viable business model.
Denny Hamlin on social media. Our fans have been brainwashed with NASCAR's talking points for decades. Lies are over starting Monday morning. It's time for the truth. It's time for change. Bob, I got to ask you, when you say, look, and I get, we can say things, we can post on social media, you can do a lot of different things, but he has to continue to work with these people. I mean, this is not saying I don't like you. This is saying you're a lying cheat. You can't, there's no way to walk that back, is there?
There isn't, but I think also, so far during this season, when they've been through this not so amicable litigation, that it hasn't kind of bled onto the racetrack. It has, NASCAR has seemed to be fair with their rulings with Hamlin. Hamlin has said they've been fair. Hamlin says, in some way, he has decent relationships with many of the NASCAR brass. His frustration is over how the money has been spent and how the teams do not get what he feels is their fair share of the money.
Bob, is there anything that the Jordan and Front Row Motorsports side, either before yesterday or during Denny Hamlin's testimony yesterday, is there anything from their side that they have presented which may not be news to you, but you think is news to the average NASCAR fan? Like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that.
It's a great question. I mean, I would say, I think the things presented in this case so far, I think what has been a surprise has been the NASCAR executives, being frustrated with Jim France, who chairman and pretty much owner of the series, with his family, and how much they seem to be battling him over what they should give to the teams and what would be fair. And so, they're kind of they're the negotiators in a lot of this. And, and I think that has been to me the surprise. And then certainly, the money has been that you didn't know has been a surprise as well. How much is NASCAR making? How much did 2311 make, and how much theoretically did Front Row Motorsports lose? You talk about 2311 making a few $1 million a year, and Front Row Motorsports saying they've lost $60 million over 10 years.
They're polar opposite sports, but the PGA Tour was blamed by a lot of players for keeping more money than they should. But they had this country with deep pockets that founded a new tour. And, Live Golf and PGA, and we all know the story. There's no Saudi Arabia money coming to start a new NASCAR tour. So if Jordan loses, what happens?
Well, if Jordan and Front Row lose, you wouldn't expect them to continue to race beyond next season. I'm not sure exactly what all their sponsorship deals would require. Front Row has said that they would race next season. 2311 has indicated they would, or at least pay their employees through next year. But, they wouldn't have charters. They would be considered open teams, which would mean you'd even need more sponsorship, because every charter team is pretty much guaranteed $12 to $13 million a year. And somebody else would buy the charters from NASCAR. And I guess if you worked at one of those two teams, you'd hope that whoever buys the charters from NASCAR hires you, because you're going to be out of a job.
Bob, I know the other, 13 teams signed a letter like a month or so ago, like begging Jordan and them, resolve this, please. Let's not go to court, which seemingly says they're on the side of NASCAR. But, I mean, Jordan and Front Row Motorsports can't be the only two car owners that think that NASCAR is, a monopoly and difficult to negotiate with. I mean, deep down, do some of the other race teams hope that Jordan and Front Row Motorsports are successful, or are they really all aligned with NASCAR?
Well, they hope that Jordan and 2311 and Front Row can obtain permanent charters or evergreen charters, so that their charter agreements, which is their kind of version of a franchise, won't expire in 7 years or 14 years, as this current deal has. But they also don't want the charter system to go away. They want to have a system where they are guaranteed revenue, and where they have something that they're able to sell, an asset, which the charter system, which was created in 2016, allows them to do. And, and NASCAR says, look, these charters are now selling for $45 million, so, and with what you get on an annual basis, that should be good enough. And, NASCAR says, we're doing the best we can. And, they pretty much say, look, we've done this through good business sense, and haven't done anything illegal or anti-competitive to keep the monopoly they have.
Some of the things that have come out in Discovery, and some of the comments NASCAR executives have said about their fans, about people in the sport, have been pretty damning. All sports have gone through something like this, where fans get upset. What does the NASCAR fan think about this? Is this detracting them from watching, from going to races? Is it hurting NASCAR in the pocketbook?
I mean, it certainly has frustrated fans to see some of these things. In the kind of the derogatory term that NASCAR executives use, the term redneck, and there's a lot of people who are NASCAR fans who take pride, right? And that's the way they kind of identify themselves, and so they feel insulted that NASCAR is using that term as an insult, that it is a bad thing, that they feel that NASCAR built their sport, on people who identify with that. So yeah, there is frustration. There is frustration that they would be to say these things about somebody like Richard Childress, who has built his organization and it was somewhat responsible for Dale Earnhardt winning championships. So yeah, there is frustration. Will it cause people not to watch? I think that's still wait to be seen.
Bob, we got about 30 seconds, and I'm sorry to do that to you. First off, can we really have 9 jurors that know nothing about Michael Jordan or NASCAR? Number one. Number two, who has home court? This is Charlotte, North Carolina. NASCAR or Michael Jordan? Who has home court?
It's easier to believe that they don't know as much about racing. They think they all know, I think, who Michael Jordan is. I think Michael Jordan has home court, but don't forget, he was owner of the Hornets, and they didn't word that great when he was owner of the Hornets. So I don't know whether they certainly love Michael Jordan for who he is and his basketball stardom. I don't know how they feel about his team ownership success.
That's fair. That is fair. Hey, Bob, thanks for fitting us in. Good luck getting a seat in that courtroom over the next 2 weeks, and be well.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bob
Pockrass, who covers racing, and in this instance, NASCAR for Fox Sports. Follow Bob on X at Bob Pockrass, Pockrass.
I just want to let everyone know I spent some time. I thought about it. I was deep in prayer. And I thought we should use David Moulton's poll question. Who should USF hire as their next coach? John Gruden or anyone else? That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family-owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
There's something magical about the holidays, and at the Diamond District, it's the season we look forward to all year long.
The lights, the laughter, the feeling of giving. That moment someone opens a gift that truly sparkles.
When you walk through our doors, our team is ready to welcome you with warmth and expert guidance. No pressure, just people who love helping you create unforgettable moments.
Stunning diamond jewelry to wrap up the wonder of the season.
The Diamond District, se habla español.
At the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Puck, I'm curious. You said about the governor of Michigan's appointing of people on the board for Michigan State. It's always been my understanding that they're voted on. I thought all of the boards. I know I could have sworn that the Michigan and Michigan State boards of regents are voted on. I think every 8 years. I thought I could be wrong.
I watched the first round of Hagler Hearns this morning. Golly.
What you realize in that round, though, is by a minute and a half in, he just walks through all those punches from Hearns. I mean, Hearns is drilling him, and he's just going for. Like, he hurt him in the first minute and a half. After that, he never hurts him.
Paula, we have 2 games left. We have Army-Navy in 2 Saturdays, and we have the Sun Bowl on New Year's Eve. And that's it. Gary will call it a career. We will end our 20-year run on CBS, and he will end his 36-year broadcasting career. I don't think anyone I'd be willing to put money on this. No analyst has done more college football games than Danielson. Now, Herb Street will probably pass him on the list, but no network TV analyst has done more games than Gary. I conservatively have it at 550, but it could be 575-ish. And I think if CBS, for most of his tenure, had games weeks 1 and 2 of the season, I think he'd be at 600. It would be interesting. It would
Charles,
be interesting.
who's taking over for Gary? Someone. It's
Charles Davis.
Yeah. The last name escaped me. Sorry.
I will say, I'll bet you Blackledge is in Danielson's area code. Okay, would be fascinating. I think Gary's first year was 1990. What was interesting was Todd and Gary replaced each other. Todd left CBS for ABC, and Gary replaced him on CBS. So,
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Joe Henderson to join us in a little more than 15 minutes to talk about where the Bulls of South Florida go from here after Alex Golish. 3 straight winning seasons, 3 straight bowl games. Big start to this year. Controlled the situation late in the year to get in the American Championship title game. Lost a couple times, ended up not making it. Still a chance for a 10-win season. On the short list of schools to be added to a power conference if there's expansion. They're going to have a new stadium on campus in a couple years. Where does South Florida go from here, Mark? We'll talk with Joe Henderson, who covers the Bulls on a regular basis, in about 15 minutes' time.
I got a couple of things I got to get off my chest.
Okay.
And one's fun, and I probably should go there. The other one may either anger or make some people laugh. You choose. But Doggate 2025. I don't mean, the Bulldogs of any school that has them as their mascot. Well, I don't think it's close here. I mean, no one gets more mileage out of having their dog around than Kirk Herbstreit. There's nobody on the planet that has garnered more sympathy because they have a dog with them than Kirk Herbstreit. But Lane was trying, and now we have Doggate because there are a lot of stories out there that the dog is not going to LSU with Lane, that the dog is staying with his handlers in Oxford, Mississippi.
So the
Should
dog
Lane get a new dog? It worked for Herbie when the dog died. He had a dog in 2 days.
Right. He was very upset, very broken up.
I mean, we put our dog down a year ago. I don't have a new dog. There are reasons, but there is no way after we put our dog down that 5 days later we would have said, ooh, let's get a puppy. It just is not something. And by the way, my wife's a veterinarian, okay? We like animals, kind of a lot in the house. So
are you insinuating that Lane's dog was a prop?
I am merely just asking that question of the audience. Do you wanted your poll question? It's up, by the way. Your poll question, Gruden or anyone else,
right,
for USF. It's up. It's posted. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. Best use of dog as a prop would be my nomination for another poll question.
Oh, well, it's definitely Herbstreit.
Yeah, and I know.
All right. There have been presidents whose pets haven't gotten as much mileage as Kirk from his dogs. Okay.
Well, at least Herbie's dog's not biting people the way that Biden's apparently attacked everybody in the Oval Office.
Apparently so, yes.
So
get this thing out of here. Right.
That's one.
Okay.
And we don't need to spend a lot of time on the dog if you don't want. The other thing, and go ahead.
No, you had to get it off your chest, though. I understand.
Did.
Okay.
I did. The other thing is, I know what we do for a living is not easy. It's a lot of fun. It requires a lot of research and a lot of work. And sometimes those people in national jobs apparently don't have to read anything to do their jobs. Because yesterday I was beside myself of people who are on the 4-letter network talking out of both sides of their mouth and not having a clue what they were talking about. Adam Schefter's one of them. Adam Schefter on a show yesterday. I can't believe Ole Miss wasn't going to match the money that Lane Kiffin was getting. How can you speak on this subject and say that? Everybody's known for a month that Ole Miss was matching dollar for dollar anything Lane was going to get out of Florida or LSU. They're only paying him $7 million. Adam, stay in your NFL lane and shut up. Go Blue. And then Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan went off supporting Lane Kiffin yesterday and blamed the players in NIL for the reasons coaches can jump. Quick sidebar. Who's Rex Ryan's agent?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
David Moulton,
ooh.
go.
Ooh, is it Jimmy Sexton?
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. You, sir, with the face. All right. So he has the same agent as Lane and goes on a show and basically just kisses Lane's ass and blames the players. Trust me, coaches have been jumping in college long before there was NIL. You jackass. Like, come on. How do they allow these people to speak? There are a lot of people that listen to this. They're influenced by this. They think. I was at dinner last night, and I'm listening to two people talk about Lane Kiffin. And everything they were saying was wrong. Everything. And I'm like, oh, wow. And it all came from the damn four-letter network. Come on.
Mark, Nick Saban is represented by Jimmy Sexton. The reason James Franklin, represented by Jimmy Sexton, went on game day and had that ridiculously softball interview, okay, in which they all chastised Penn State, and maybe Penn State's worthy of it. But, he got 12 years there, and he was paid fairly well, and he was compensated walking out the door well, okay? And, yeah, it's all a game. Listen, the word is Jimmy Sexton will not allow any of his clients to take the Penn State job, that he's penalizing Penn State for firing James Franklin, and he will not let any of his candidates interview and take the Penn State job. That's his punishment to Penn State, and that's why the coaching search is going down the road that it's gone down.
And look at Jimmy Sexton is running circles around athletic directors across the country, okay? Make no mistake. I don't blame Jimmy Sexton. He's really good at his job. He's controlling college football as much as any person out there, including Sankey and Petiti. He is. But this charade's got to stop. And I know it's not going to, but goodness gracious. It's ridiculous.
I do think, how in politics, oftentimes the networks, at least on the graphic, show that they're on one side or the other, you're labeled as a certain, position. Okay. I do wish that in sports that they would at least put the conflicts of interest underneath the person's name. Okay. When we're going to discuss big issues, because I don't think most viewers, listeners know, okay, the politics behind. I will give the credit on that NFL roundtable. Somebody on that roundtable did point out that Rex Ryan was represented by the same person who represents Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, it was Greeny.
Yeah.
Because it was Paul Feinbaum ripping Jimmy Sexton. And Rex starts laughing and Greeny brought it up to his credit. But
by the way, does that say that Paul Feinbaum is leaving and going into politics more than anything else? If you're ripping Jimmy Sexton and you're a national college football person, I think nothing screams he's leaving sports more than that.
He gone.
He gone.
He gone. And one last little thing, because we're going to talk some USF coaching here in a minute. I always look up what today is, trying to find a poll question. David, today is National Skip School Day. And I bring this up quickly because I'm guessing you skip school. I know I did. I know I did a bunch. And I laugh because all of us of our generation, and a lot of you are of that same generation that are listening, you probably skip school. What would you do if you caught your kid skipping school now? It was a rite of passage for us. You'd go nuts if your kid did it. Miller and Moulton. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You got a trophy for it, Adam. Congratulations. It is so funny you say that because my daughter got something for it last year, and she was pretty excited. And I tried to get her to miss a couple of days, and my wife goes nuts if I suggest missing a day of school. I missed weeks when I was in grade school. We came down to Marco Island on vacation. I'd take the week off before we had the Good Friday through the following week. I'd be gone that Monday through Thursday every year. Every year.
Kindergarten through 11th grade, I never skipped a day of school. Senior year of high school, I had senioritis from day one. I did not want to be there. I did not enjoy it. My high school, we would have first period and then go to homeroom. So you had to be in homeroom for attendance. If you were, and they marked you present, you could walk out the door. So I can't tell you how much time I missed my senior year of high school. And then would literally, or sometimes I'd stay for second and third period, and then I had 2 study halls and lunch in the middle of my day. So I could literally go and hit golf balls for 2 hours and come back. And then go to physics and gym, and my day was over. So we had a rule, though. If you missed 12 days of school, you had more than 12, you had to make time up in summer school. If you missed 18 or more days, you had to make up the year. That was 10% of the year. And I was over. And I got my golf coach's wife to lie for me, to vouch. And that is the reason I graduated on time. I wasn't over 18, but I was over 12. And they weren't going to let me walk. And that would have upset me greatly because it would have really upset my grandparents, including my dad's mom, who was still alive then. That would have crushed her.
I know I've told this story before, and I'll get our guest on here shortly. But my father didn't graduate with his class because during his senior year, his mother was taking him to school. Now, understand, this is like 1962. My mother was taking him to school. My grandmother was taking him to school, and he was smoking on the way to school in the car. And the principal saw him smoking and brought him into the office and was going to suspend him for smoking and was making him call his mother, who was in fact driving him to school. My dad was dialing the old rotary phone to call his house, and he said, I'm about 4 numbers into it when I said enough of this. And he picked the phone up and threw it through the plate glass window in the principal's office.
Here we go.
He was suspended a half day for the rest of the year. So he came up a credit short of graduating and had to go to summer school to graduate. And he doesn't regret it one bit. And I know the story's true because I saw his diploma and it said August, not June. That's Fred in a nutshell for you.
Deadstruck, I agree with you there. I'm stunned by the number of days off nowadays. I know Florida's a different animal, starts a month earlier than I started and all that, but oof.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Pat Kirwan will join us then to talk all things NFL. We'll ask Pat if he's ever seen a place kicker whiff before. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. He covers the Bulls of South Florida. He's Joe Henderson. He's part of Green, Gold, Bold, fan-sided South Florida coverage. You can follow Joe on X at the letter J, Henderson Tampa. J, Henderson Tampa. Joe, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Oh, I'm just fine. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Did South Florida have a realistic chance to keep Golish, or were the job offers just in another league and it is what it is?
I would say it is what it is. He stood up following the Rice game Saturday night and was asked, what's going on? And he said, I haven't talked about it. Haven't thought about it. I'm going to go home, talk about it with my wife. We're going to discuss everything, blah, blah, blah. That was about 11 o'clock. He said when he got to Auburn that he got a call at 1 a.m. from the Auburn athletic director offering him the job, accepted on the spot. So I don't think there was a lot of thought that went into it. He wanted to go. It's a grand opportunity for him. Bless him. Good luck. And let's see what happens with the Bulls.
Well, obviously their quarterback's pretty special. And I would think he would be, going with Alex. I mean, the retention part of this is a big deal for whoever the new coach is. Is Brown playing in the bowl game? Is he already looking at his options? What's going on with the QB?
Well, I saw something yesterday where Brown said that he anticipated playing in the bowl game. So that's a positive. USF, I would assume, would have their new coach by then. And then it's up to Byram to decide, do I want to follow Coach Golish and get a year in the SEC, maybe enhance my draft status, or stay here with, a program that he's had as much to do with building as anybody, and see it through. So I would say stay tuned on that one. It's certainly going to be a topic of conversation.
Joe Henderson, Green, Gold, and Bold, covering South Florida for Fanside Sports, Fansided. He joins us here on Miller and Moulton. I am not a huge Gruden guy. I have not been one of those that have pounded the table. Florida should hire him. I thought Arkansas might be an interesting scenario for him because of where they are in the SEC landscape. I got to admit, Joe, this is the only time that I've thought that hiring John Gruden for a college job might be the right thing to do. Is John Gruden in South Florida midway through the 2020s a good marriage or a disaster?
Yes. Look, there is no question that John Gruden would bring the juice. I mean, he would get people excited, and at that point they'd be going, Alex who? We know what he can do with quarterbacks. And what's interesting to me, and I share your trepidation about this, I really do, because the colleges are a lot different than the pros. You know, you can't just go in, a guy has a bad game, you can't just go in and fire him the next day. It's not how it works in college football. And maybe what John's been through the last several years has given him a different perspective. But one thing I would say that it would be in his favor is that the USF athletic department is set up to basically be a pro football operation. Rob Higgins is not referred to as the athletic director. He is the CEO of athletics. They have Derek Brooks on staff. They pay their players, to the maximum allowed by the NCAA. So in that sense, John would be, in his element. But now you've got to go sweet talk mama into, sending her son to play for you. And there are all kinds of arcane rules you got to follow. And I don't know that John has the temperament or the patience for that. There are multiple caution flags on this one. But let me say this, USF's motto is be bold. And Rob Higgins has certainly been bold when he was with the Tampa Bay Sports Commission. He brought in all these high-level national events that nobody ever imagined could ever come to Tampa. He doesn't play it safe. And hiring John Gruden would not be safe, but it would be bold. So buckle up. I don't know how that one's going to end.
It would be bold. They've gone plenty of different ways with coaches from Levitt until now. And some have had moderate success. Some have had zero success. With Golish, they got a guy, and I don't want to say they got lucky. They hired someone, and what they thought could happen did happen. Who are the coordinators that are out there? Who are the guys you're hearing so that this can keep on keeping on? There's a new stadium opening on campus. There's now a buzz with this football team, but there used to be a buzz, and it went away quickly with some poor hires. I mean, this is a really important hire for South Florida and their future at football. What are you hearing about who could be next?
Well, let me say this about that, because Rob Higgins and USF's internal structure, they keep the circle very tight. And there are no leaks out there. So I've heard, same names everybody else has heard. And one I heard early, even before Golish had left, was Willie Simmons, who's the head coach at FIU, had great success at FAMU, which was a dumpster fire before he got there. Former college quarterback. He would be an interesting hire, but he might be the, quote, safe hire. One of the names that was tossed around was Will Stein, who's the offensive coordinator at Oregon. Well, he just got hired by Kentucky. So there is a danger in guessing because nobody knows, because USF ain't talking. And we saw how that played out with Golish to Arkansas. Some guy out in some podcaster in Arkansas thought he had it nailed, that that's where Golish was going. He has accepted the job at Arkansas. Nothing could have been further from the truth. So now he's got egg on his face. So yes, that's all it is a guess. And I will say USF needs to move fairly quickly. You know what tomorrow is?
Signing day.
It's day of the early
signing.
Yeah, early signing.
So you got a lot of recruits out there who have committed, air quotes, to USF. Saying, all right, well, who's going to be my coach? And You know, you can't. You need to move with deliberate speed on this, and I would hope they would have this done by the end of the week, if not sooner. And when it happens, then we'll know. I'm out of the guessing game at this point.
Is the school, the athletic department, and the program bigger now than their coach? Or is the athletic department and the football program especially still dependent on their coach? Because this school and athletic department have an awful lot going for it, not just the last 3 years with Golish. They have had a really nice run as a school and as an athletic department. Are they now not solely dependent on the name and success of their coach, or no, they got to get it right?
Well, they got to get it right, but that is a great question and point that you raised, because to quote the late Amir Abdur-Rahim, this ain't the same old South Florida. And anybody who thinks it is got their head in the sand. That is as big time a program with all the surroundings as you want to find. Now, they don't have the tradition, obviously, of a Florida State, whatever. But what they've done is they've said, we are going to make a commitment to athletics, because they refer to it as the front door of the university. It's the thing that gets your name in the paper every day. And it's not just football that they're committed to. You know,
right.
Men's basketball is big. When Michael Kelly, the former athletic director who's now at Navy, took over at USF, a lot of the quote-unquote minor sports were what I call collateral damage. They weren't fully funded. They would put a team out on the field, and the results didn't matter. And now everything matters out there. And every sport has the full support that they need. They have done an amazing transformation out there, which, to the casual fan, if you haven't been paying attention, when that football stadium opens up in 2027, that's the cherry on top. That's the thing that pushes them over. And so you ask, are they still coach dependent for publicity? Well, yeah, sort of. But nobody knew Golish when he got here, and look what he did. So I trust Rob Higgins. He's a smart man, and he is as well connected nationally as anybody you want to name. So they're going to get a good coach.
Joe Henderson, Green, Gold, and Bold, fan-sided coverage of South Florida athletics. You can follow Joe on X at the letter J, Henderson, Tampa. The letter J, Henderson, Tampa. Joe, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. Hopefully you come on again when they hire their next coach or shortly thereafter, and we wish you all the best. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me. Take care. Have a great day.
Joe Henderson joining us here on Miller and Moulton.
It's a monster hire. He's right that no one knew who Golish was, so it doesn't need to be a name guy. They don't have to go get John Gruden to keep the program alive. But it can't be a flop. You know, was it Jeff Scott that was before Golish?
Yep.
We had him on. He said all the right things.
Well, and he was the offensive coordinator under Dabo?
Right.
Okay. I mean, perfectly credentialed and what have you. It didn't work. We
thought Skip Holtz was going to work with his.
I thought it was perfect. It was the absolute perfect fit and hire at the right time, even though we didn't want to see Levitt go. That turned out to be a mistake letting him go. But anyway, I will say, Simmons, we had him when FIU hired him. He impressed us. He just delivered an 8-win season for the Panthers. He turned FAMU around, which was a mess, and he just won 8 games very quickly with FIU. I mean, it wouldn't be Gruden, okay, but it certainly looks as if it would be a solid hire.
And he is right. The athletic department's going in the right direction, but you cannot go backward. You can maintain where you are for a couple of years. But this team, this program, when you look who's in the American, by the way, everybody else in the American lost their coaches. That was good too. There's no reason why every year South Florida shouldn't be one of the teams you're talking about to contend to win the title in that conference. That's where they need to be. If you're going to try, if your aspirations are whenever the new round of expansion in college football comes to be on the short list, you cannot take a step backward now, David. It's critical that they get this right.
I would hire Gruden. I would say to him, listen, I'm not going to pretend that you know the college game. You're going to need an experienced guy in the college game. We'll give you all the resources. You don't know what you don't know. Okay? But you know football, pro style, let's go. Because I'm not sure Gruden's going to get another job anywhere else, if you know what I mean. Like, Gruden's in his 60s now. I mean, you might get a guy, this might be his last job, if you know what I mean. You might get 5-7 years out of John Gruden.
Don't have to pay for moving expenses.
Right.
Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan. He's next. We'll talk all things NFL with Pat on Miller and Moulton. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent
The 2025 Industry Appreciation Awards in Fort Myers have wrapped up, but the celebration of business excellence continues, hosted by the Lee County Economic Development Office, Horizon Council, and Horizon Foundation. This annual event honors the innovators, job creators, and community builders driving the region forward. Visit industryappreciationawards.com to see this year's winners and learn how local businesses are shaping a stronger, more resilient economy for Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower is so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I love him so much.
I love him.
I love
Sorry
him more
about that,
now than
Pat.
when he was coaching.
It's okay, Mark. I was getting ready to send you a note going, have I been released? Oh, man. Patriots hit hard.
Uh-huh. Yep.
That kid, Christian Ellis, he needs to go to jail.
Well, I will say the NFL probably, like, which do you prefer? Like that hit on the special teams play when he went helmet to helmet. It's legal in the NFL because he's a runner. In college, that would have been reviewed. He would have been ejected for targeting. Okay. So, I mean, which one do you support?
I don't believe in the targeting rule because there's too many moving parts. And anytime you have that, the college thing to me is an overreaction. Look, people are moving.
I agree.
So
I agree.
don't
How about
like
if
the college.
how about if they change the college rule to kind of like soccer? You know how you get a yellow card, then if you do something like that again, then you get ejected. What if in college they changed it to that's targeting, that's a warning, or that's 1 15-yard penalty, but you just don't do it again. Then you're in trouble.
It's better, but it still says they know that there was an intent, and that's what I don't like because you don't know if there was intent. But well, we think that's intent, so we're going to warn you, and then the next time you're out. As I said, I think there's moving targets, and people are trying to dislodge the ball, and they're trying to get talented guys on the ground, etc. I think the college thing is like once they open that can of worms, they're never going back. They think they can legislate safety.
Well, they did that to avoid lawsuits.
That's my point.
Right.
Exactly.
Which is funny, by the way, because you can absolutely beat the crap out of a quarterback in college. You just can't hit him in the head, but you can hit him late. You can throw him to the ground. You can stomp on him. The whole deal.
Yeah. Speaking of that, how about the air traffic controller that picked up Jack and Dart going by? That was like my favorite launch shot. Again, Christian Ellis.
Yep.
That guy was on the practice squad of the Eagles for like 3 years.
That was the best tackling game I've seen in the NFL this year by the Patriots. They missed one tackle. Midway through the fourth quarter, a DB didn't tackle a giant on the sideline. He got an extra 20 yards. They missed one tackle all game.
And Vrabel will not miss that in the film room. He'll be like all over that guy. Yeah, they look like Vrabel now, don't they? They play like Vrabel.
Yeah, it's great to see.
They can do a lot of damage, I think. And the quarterback, I say it. No, I don't know if I mean it, but I think he's good enough to go deep into the playoffs.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home on this first Tuesday of December, at least in Jacksonville, Tampa, St. Pete, and Fort Myers, Naples. Final hour of the show, Live Oak, Lake City, surrounding areas, Port Charlotte, Venice, and surrounding areas. We are Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. It's Pat Kirwan time. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, over a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. We know you worked right on through your Thanksgiving holiday, but how are you?
I'm doing fine. I really enjoyed the long weekend of football games. And without going into next week's until Friday, I think we're up for another 6 or 7 really good games next week. So this is multiple weeks now. And I say it on this show a lot. I'm very pleased with the 1 o'clock. We're getting more and more, and we have 2 more this week where I always felt 1 o'clock was neglected. So, yeah, pretty excited about next week. Almost as well. I don't know if anything tops Thursday, Friday when we were talking about that. That was like NFL gold, really.
And boy, was a lot. I don't know about determined, but it lined up a few things that none of us really expected when the year began. I'll start with the first game. Are the Detroit Lions going to miss the playoffs? And if they do, is it because Dan Campbell keeps going for it on fourth down?
Well, I don't like that he does it, but I wouldn't blame their situation on that as much as I would injuries. Injuries to me would be first on the list there. And Dan needs to get that under control. But will they miss the playoffs? It's going to be hard. I don't know who's bumping out. That's always the issue. 49ers, Green Bay, Seattle. Yeah, I think it's. I don't think it's musical chairs, and there may not be a chair for them.
Well, for the Lions, just from that perspective, they're 2 behind the Bears. The final 2 games of the year for the Bears are at San Francisco and home for Detroit.
Yep.
All right. And what the Lions need to hope for, obviously, is that they can, over the next month, close this 2-game deficit to a 1-game deficit, because then they can beat Chicago in the finale, sweep them for the year, win the tiebreaker, and make the playoffs. But the Bears, kind of like the Broncos and the Patriots, they ain't losing. So it's tough to make up ground on a team that ain't losing. Do we now, Pat, have to look at the Bears differently after Friday, or do we have to look at the Eagles differently after Friday?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Eagles differently. I was disappointed in what I watched. I was disappointed in what looks like a dysfunctional sideline, which is a pretty strong word, but there was like no rallying together. The quarterback sits alone with his arms folded, staring at people. They've let their running game fall apart. Easy to blame the offensive line, but I see other teams overcoming offensive line issues. Think about the Buffalo Bills and losing both tackles. They were able to still block. So, yeah, it's the Eagles, to me, are disappointing. Now, they're going to make it, and they're going to win the division, most likely. I don't see Dallas rallying back from where they're coming from, although I don't think anyone wants to play them. Philly disappoints me. Chicago is a pleasant surprise and wonderful. They're a year ahead of schedule. That's what I see when I see those guys. They're doing now what I thought they'd do in 2026, that the coach would make an impact on the quarterback and everything else. But once I saw the way they ran the ball, that was it. They're here now.
There's no doubt, because, you know, despite all the things you've said about Philadelphia, defensively, they've been really good. And it's hard to do much of anything, run or pass against them. And what the Bears did on the ground. I mean, Ben Johnson said it in whether it was the post game or the day after presser, in which he said, our passing game is restricting us, not helping us. You know, the quarterback's got to hit the guy when he's open. The receiver's got to run the right routes. But when you can ground and pound like that, you can make up for a lot in the passing game, Pat.
Yeah, I think Vic Fangio was shocked at what happened to his defense. And it was, so I got this argument going. Some guy go, well, they were running out of gas. I said, excuse me? The Chicago ran for 72 yards in the first 2 series. It wasn't late in the game, and Chicago, Philadelphia was beat up. They just kept doing it. Go back and watch the first 2 series. And that guy, I like to do this for David, and that running back from the state of New Jersey, Manon guy, another Rutgers 7th rounder. He was phenomenal. So, yeah, I think Chicago has a lot of ways. And I will say this, Dennis Allen is doing like under the radar job on that defense, because they're not very good, but he's got them playing very well right now.
Well, he's a proven defensive coordinator, just like Josh McDaniels is a proven offensive coordinator. They may not be head coaches, but they are both outstanding coordinators. Hey, how about the Packers? Since we're sticking with the Thursday, Friday theme, what was the knock on Green Bay? They couldn't beat the really good teams. Lost 2 to Philly, 2 to Detroit, 2 to Minnesota last year. Well, what did they just do? They just swept the Lions. And they really handled them damn near twice. I mean, this is Green Bay stepping up into the level where they haven't been for a while.
I agree with that. And so now the big game is Chicago. Bears are coming to town this week. And, it's funny how the structure of our playoffs are that if you win your division, you're going to be a top 4 seed. And that means the loser, if Chicago loses this game, they're going to fall all the way down to the 6th seed, maybe even the 7th seed. Who knows? So, there's the mighty might fall here. And it's interesting to me. Green Bay knows what's on the line. They've got the more experienced quarterback. They've been around this before. But you tell me, guys, if Green Bay loses to Chicago, after we get done praising Chicago for beating 3 playoff qualifiers in a row, when they played in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and then Green Bay. But what does it say about Green Bay? Because I've always had some suspicions about Jordan Love.
You have. There's been no doubt. And look I think right now, we'll see this week because playing against, I think we'll know a lot more if Dallas runs it up on Detroit the way Green Bay and everybody else has, because defensively, they haven't been able to stop much. But speaking of the Cowboys, nearly 460 yards. The Chiefs were hanging their hat on defense, and the Cowboys torched them, and Kansas City loses another one. I don't know if there are enough games for Dallas to get back into the playoffs. As we've talked about, all these teams on the top are playing pretty damn well, but the Chiefs are running out of time, Pat.
I think they are out of time, and we can wait a week or two to confirm that, but to me, they look like it's going to be a hard climb. We've talked before. They've got losses to all those wild card teams. They're not playing that well right now. They're going to fight like crazy because the quarterback won't let them quit. But I think they are in a bad spot. Dallas, I don't know if they'll make it, but I don't think anyone wants to play them. They got a lot of things going on right now that are very, very good. Finally, some Cowboy fans are not criticizing Dak Prescott every time they call me. They don't like the guy. I love the guy. There's a lot of teams that would love to have Dak Prescott. I think they're very dangerous right now, but I don't know if the math works in their favor to make it.
All right. I'll do the schedule game with both the Cowboys and the Chiefs quickly. The Cowboys are 6-5-1. Winning out would be 11-5-1. That'd be the best record to ever miss the playoffs, I think, certainly since we've gone to 17 games.
Yep.
Okay. If they beat the Lions Thursday night in Detroit, they're home for Minnesota and the Chargers, and then they're on the road for the Commanders and the Giants. You could argue this is the toughest game remaining on their schedule, and if they win it, do they run the table and end the year with an 8-game winning streak?
Well, I think it's almost inviting to say yes to that. And I do think they have a very good chance to beat Detroit, who's all beat up. But I'll look at the Charger game and say there's still one big hurdle in there. Now, that hurdle might have a quarterback that can't really play as effectively. We witnessed what's going on with Rodgers trying to play with a cast on his hand. We had a surgery on the hand of the quarterback for the Chargers, but I still think that's not a given win for Dallas. Although, if they just play the way – now, here's the problem. I'm about to say something I know is not true. They don't always play good.
Right.
That's the problem with them. They get you all excited because you see all the good, and the next week they lay an egg or they don't even show up.
And it's not even didn't show up, but it is true in regard to the whole league. Because last week when we talked to you, but not just us, you asked everybody, who's the best team in the NFL? Everybody said the Rams. Well, they just lost to Carolina. This league's hard. You can't play perfectly every week because you're playing against talented individuals. How much credit are you giving the Carolina Panthers for what they did this weekend?
Well, I'm giving them a lot of credit for growth. Like, they have taken a step bigger this year than I thought they would take. I didn't think they'd be as bad as they've been years past, but I do think, I said, okay, they get to 7 or 8 wins. I'll find them to be on a growth spurt. That's good. They're past that already. And so I got to give them credit. I don't give them very much credit because I'm not a big fan of the quarterback, but he's starting to play pretty good. But they're not good enough to beat the Rams, but they just did. And the Rams, when was the last time we saw the quarterback throw 2 picks right away?
Well, hell, he threw 2 all year. Okay,
yeah,
before
that's my
Sunday,
question.
right?
So I still think they're the best team because I think in the biggest moments that are coming up deep in the playoffs, his poise as a quarterback is going to be a difference maker.
Very quickly, as we're close to break, the Chiefs with 5 games remaining, they're 6-6. They likely have to win out because they lose seemingly every tiebreaker. This is what you need to know about the Chiefs. They need to win their home games. Their home games are hard. Houston, the Chargers, the Broncos. They have 2 road games left. They're the Titans and the Raiders. So if the Chiefs can hold serve at home, look out. But they have no margin for error.
Yeah, and to react to that, I think I have
20
to look
seconds.
at the schedule. Yeah, I have to look at the schedule of the wild card teams right now because they got to get better record than them.
Right, because they don't have a tiebreaker over anybody, although if they win this week, they'd at least have it over Houston. He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat and all our guests join us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. Pat, of course, joins us courtesy of Pinchers. Locations from Tampa to Key West and all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Go to pinchersusa.com and get your gift cards now.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. This December, watch the nation's best high school basketball players compete in the City of Palms Classic. Fort Myers will once again welcome future college and NBA stars as they square off at Suncoast Arena from December 18th through the 23rd. Come see Southwest Florida's own Bishop Verreau versus Barron Collier on Sunday night, December 21st. For tournament information, please visit cityofpalmsclassic.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
How about my boy Lane Kiffin?
Wow. Look at, hey, like I said it on the show earlier, you know me, Pat. I don't begrudge anybody going to get as much money as they can get. The whole I prayed, he had that contract signed for a week. The whole I don't know how much money I'm making. Shut up, Lane.
Yeah.
Pat, how many contracts have you had in your life? You've probably had 20 contracts in your life minimum.
Yeah, I remember every penny.
Every damn penny. Every damn penny. I go back. I know what I made with the Atlanta Knights in 1994. I mean, come on.
Yep. He knows. Boy, Bill Cowher ripped into him on Sunday.
Oh, did he ever? I heard it.
Oh, boy. He could. And by the way, we were going to do that at noon. So at 8 a.m, I sat with him. We figured out how he wanted to say what he wanted to say. And then the press conference got pushed back to 2:00. So it got pushed off into our post game. By time it was really great that it kept getting pushed back because by the time we got to the end of the afternoon, Bill put about 10 more zingers in there. He was so pissed. He does not like that kind of way of operating. Yes. How about, can I stay and coach the team? What? Get out of here. And I like Lane. I've known him forever, but
It's funny. I originally thought, yeah, you got to let him. It's your best shot to win a natty. Let him stay and coach. And I was that way last week. And I'm texting with a buddy over the weekend, and what he said to me, he went back and basically said, okay, and the guy we both played high school hockey for, who we loved and adored, he goes, so Phil leaves before we start the playoffs to go coach somewhere else, and we're going to go on the bench and play for that guy? And that's when it hit me. I don't know why he used a high school reference, but that's when it dawned on me. I'm like, he said a lot of other things in it, but I'm like, you're right. When you're right, you're right.
Yeah. And
those kids can't play. Those kids wouldn't play for him.
Well, your friend should have said he left us and went to our rival, because that's what LSU Ole Miss is.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Not good. Well, he just needs a lot of NIL money because he knows who to spend it on. He's pretty good at that.
And he's got a lot of it.
Yep.
He's got a lot of it.
Yeah.
I just love the fact that the governor made all those comments that we're not going to do another contract like this. No, this one's worse. The buyout for Kelly was $54 million. The buyout for Lane, $74 million.
Oh, no, wait. Here's the one thing. I don't know if you guys saw. Did you see that LSU, because Lane had clauses in his Ole Miss contract about college football playoff appearances and wins in the playoff? If Ole Miss does stuff in the playoff, okay, LSU will pay Lane what he would have gotten paid if he was still at Ole Miss.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's what Jimmy Sexton negotiated.
My boy Jimmy.
Yeah. By the way, the word is he's holding Penn State hostage, that he won't let any of his clients interview or take the job as punishment for what they did to James Franklin, and that's why they're having trouble finding a coach. Now, I have to believe there are other candidates not represented by Sexton, but, anyway, that was the word yesterday.
Well, Jimmy's done a fine job for the guy that was the manager of Tennessee's football team. His whole life changed when he was assigned to live with Reggie White. Hey, you got to live with Reggie, and you got to make him go to class. In fact, take him to class. Jimmy still laughs about it. Well,
you got Blades games this week, Pat? Are they in
no,
town?
it's a dead week this week. There's nothing. Yep. The week after, we'll have 3 of them.
All right. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes after the hour, our remaining 10 minutes with Pat Kirwan on this first Tuesday in December. Pat joining us on the American Paint Supplies hotline, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. How concerned, scale of 1 to 10, are you about the Colts? Lost two in a row, but granted, they played the Chiefs on the road and the Texans at home. But Jones is hurt, and now teams have a scouting report on the Colts. Just curious, your level of concern for Indianapolis.
I'm glad you asked, because it was on my mind to talk about it. I am concerned because the quarterback is now relegated to immobile. They lost Sauce Gardner. I talked to the doctor yesterday. He thinks it'll be a month. Calf injuries are real shaky. But to me, the Colts are in a group of 3 with Baltimore and Buffalo. And here's my question. Can any of those 3 hang on? Because that's what we're thinking about with the Colts. Can they hang on right now? But I feel the same way about Buffalo and Baltimore. And it's a question, not a statement. Like, I don't think all 3 of them are going to be able to play strong enough to win. I mean, Lamar is kind of relegated to immobile himself. And there's not a lot going on in Buffalo to protect the quarterback. But Indianapolis, I think they're going to have a hard time. You love looking at schedules. Tell me about that schedule. because I could see the Colts losing a couple of games right now.
There's no doubt. The Bills the same way, and the Ravens, who the hell knows what's going on there. But let's talk about the team they're tied in the division with, the team that the Bills just pounded Sunday afternoon. Pat, the Steelers are broken. The defense is lousy. The offense can't do a damn thing. They look like they got egg all over their face right now because Pickens is tearing it up with Dallas. When you look at Pittsburgh, I mean, they were chanting fire Tomlin. They were booing during Renegade. I mean, the Pittsburgh fans honked off. This isn't what it's supposed to look like. And I don't see it getting any better anytime soon, Pat.
No, I don't either in a sense, but I do think about the game this week, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. This is a classic when Pittsburgh, they've got a very good rise up performance level against the Ravens, and I'd say this is the end for them. If they fold up here and don't play well against the Ravens, then it's over. And I cannot believe that. Well, I say it a lot on this show as well as ours. The 4 seeds almost never as good as the 5 seed, and the 4 seed in both conferences looks pretty weak to me. And whether it's Baltimore or Pittsburgh, I don't think they're long for the playoffs.
I know you don't like to go down this road, so I'm just going to throw it out there. You wonder, these are the 2 longest tenured coaches at their respective places in the league, Tomlin and Harbaugh. And you wonder whichever one doesn't win the North if they're politely asked to leave. You just wonder, just throwing that out there. Is it time for either if they don't win the division? All right. Are you buying the Texans? Are the 2 Texas teams, the Cowboys and the Texans, making big runs here? Dallas from 3-5-1, and the Texans from what? 0-3 and 2-5, 7-5. CJ Stroud's back, best defensive line in the league.
I am buying the Texans, and I think there's opportunity for them to make it in. The defense is awesome. The quarterback looked pretty good on his return to the field. So the quarterback is doing well. The defense is ridiculous. Anderson and those guys, if you have any line injuries and you have to play Houston, you might lose your quarterback in this game. So I do like Houston to make it. But I said I got 3 teams. I wonder which one's not going to, make it here. And I hope the Chargers get their act together. But I look at Indianapolis and Buffalo and think there's room for Houston. And between those 2, somehow there's room for Houston.
All right, the Bucks. I know you talk to Todd Bowles every Monday. I missed it yesterday. Had my mother-in-law in the car. Couldn't tell her I need to listen to Todd Bowles now. So the Bucks, look, it wasn't pretty, but Bucky Irvin's back. Godwin's back. They might be getting Evans back. The D-backs got a turnover. That's a big deal right now. They've been dropping a lot of these. What did Todd Bowles have to say about the win, and what are your thoughts about the Bucks going forward, Pat?
Yeah, I think when Evans gets back, he's been gone a long time. We talk about he only played 4 games.
Right.
So Todd told me that Evans is working this week, and with some outside hope that he'd be available this week, probably next week. But they're not, Carolina's staring them in the face here, but I still would not take Carolina over them in a game. I think they're going to hold on. I don't know how far they're going to go, but I think if they get the Evans back, to me, that's the most critical piece because he sets up all the coverages. And when he's on the field, you really have a hard time having a free blitzer or a guy to handle the quarterback. So I like him when they got that. It's funny. Sean Tucker played great while everybody else was injured in the running back room. And as soon as everybody came back, Sean Tucker got 2 carries for no yards. Like, he responded to the challenge, and then they don't need him again. I like him. I like him too. What about that guy who scored the touchdown, Mark? What's that guy that ran that deep 9 route? Tristan Wirfs?
Yeah. Abuka's hit a wall, too, as a rookie. I mean, that he started out gangbusters. He's hit a bit of a wall to me.
Well, he got with a couple of weeks, Mark, where the other big timers weren't there. We immediately all said he's a 1. No, he's not a 1, but he has to play like a 1. And after they started covering him like he was a 1, it gets harder and harder. Once everybody comes back and he can groove into the role of the 3, then they'll be really dangerous with the passing game, and he'll come back to life. I could see him in like a first round of the playoffs catching 8 or 9 balls as they're trying to handle Chris and Mike.
Broncos and Patriots. Denver's won 9 in a row. New England 10 in a row, both with second-year quarterbacks. If you're going to nitpick, Denver seems to have a running game issue. Patriots actually kick a lot of field goals once they get into the red zone. But your thoughts on the Broncos and the Patriots as they head for home?
I like the way that both of them play defense. And I like the physicality that's going on at both places. I was lucky enough to be on the sideline with Denver and the Kansas City Chiefs 2 or 3 weeks ago. Very impressed with how they play defense. They run to the ball. They got good hitters. Their pass rusher out there, Big Nick, he went to school down there, Thomas Aquinas, I think. They're good. And New England, to me, if you ask me which quarterback do I like the most, which I'll ask you, David, of the 2 quarterbacks, the one in Denver, Bo Nix, and the one in New England, which one would you take?
The one in New England is more consistent.
Yeah, that's how I feel about him too. So it's impressive what's going on with those 2 teams. Which one do I like the most? I would have said Denver before last night, but then I saw the physicality that New England can deliver. I think Mike's got them figured out, and they're playing really hard. Do I think that's the championship game? Yeah, that might be. Might be.
Last question, Pat, for me at least. San Francisco has been kind of pushed to the side by everybody for a while. They split with the Rams. They already beat the Seahawks. Their schedule's not daunting the rest of the way, and all they seem to do is win every week.
Well, they are to be commended for overcoming injuries, which they've had a bunch of them. The receiver core, Ayuk and all the other nonsense that went on. I always wonder if they knew then what they know now, would they have ever moved Debo? Probably could have used Debo for another year, but they moved him. I like them. I think you're right about them being kind of under the radar with a good record and with a lot of control over their spot in the playoffs. I've been waiting for McCaffrey to get hurt because they run him so hard. He's going to be over 400 touches this year, but he's doing a great job and he's surviving it. I wish he had a week or 2 coming up here that he didn't have to carry the ball and touch the ball 30 times. Get a couple of those weeks in a row and freshen them up, I think would be smart.
I'll just say this come playoff time. They may miss Bosa in the playoffs. They do not get near a quarterback without sending guys, and Saleh doesn't like the blitz. It may not bite him in the regular season. I wonder if it'll bite him in the postseason. He's Pat Kirwan. NFL Radio's Moving the Change, which is weekdays 3 to 7, Saturday 2 to 5. Sunday, it's with CBS and the NFL Today show. Pat joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers. Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best,
Be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton. You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. We've been guest heavy here for the last 90 plus minutes on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question, and I'm not just saying it because I came up with it. Mark did sign off on it. But we think it's pretty interesting because we don't have to explain John Gruden. Everybody knows who we're talking about and all the complexities that come with him. South Florida, which is where Gruden lives, in Tampa. Obviously, he was head coach of the Bucs. He has not left, and he was fired over 15 years ago. If you're South Florida and you have a football coaching vacancy, do you hire John Gruden or do you hire anybody else? Because, Mark, I don't know if the reason why I think the question works is if you're considering Gruden, I don't see how you hire someone else. To me, he's either on the list, well, then he is the list, or I ain't hiring John Gruden. You got to be kidding me. Next.
The only other out there, David, is does John Gruden want that job? I mean, I'm being 100% serious. So would they be able to pay him enough at South Florida for him to warrant taking the job? Does he want to recruit? And I know he wouldn't have to recruit a ton the way the new setup is. You can go portal heavy, but you've got to recruit. Mm-hmm. And as was pointed out by Joe Henderson earlier in the show, there are a lot of stupid rules when it comes to recruiting. John Gruden knows nothing about any of those stupid rules. Right. So who he surrounds himself with is very important if that's indeed the hire. I don't know if he's even on the list.
No, none of us do.
No idea.
No, none of us do. I just don't think he has the hand that his name would imply that he has. He hasn't coached in, 3+ years now? He's in his 60s. Nobody seemingly wants him. He certainly appears to be blackballed in the NFL. Well, then, if his only future is in college, you got to get working in college or else you don't have a coaching future. He clearly still wants to coach. He lobbied for multiple SEC jobs. So I don't think he has the hand. I think it's at the point in which you could look at John and go, John, we can afford $4 million. I know you're worth more. Okay, I know you want more. John, here's the job. Here's the 1 or 2 guidelines that we have in place, which is you have to acknowledge you don't know college football to the extent that you need to know it. You need a right-hand guy. We'd like to help you pick who that guy is. Okay, and here's the budget. Yes or no, John? It's your job if you want it. Here are the only 2 conditions we have is do you take it or not? And if you don't, we respect it. We wish you the best.
You know, who they bring in with them would be the biggest part of this. And all I've been thinking about since you brought up this question to me is Juwan Howard at Michigan as the basketball coach. They brought Juwan Howard in. Everybody went, wow, that's an interesting hire. He doesn't know anything about college basketball. And then they got the longtime coach from
Phil Martelli.
Yeah. Who everybody, there you go. You got your right-hand guy who knows the ins and outs of college hoop and recruiting and all the rules. And it couldn't have gone more horribly wrong than it did for Howard at Michigan.
Right. And that's why I think the question is so interesting, because to me, I mean, do you really think that if South Florida were to hire John Gruden, whenever the tenure ended, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever, do you really think at the end of it, we're going to give it a C+? Don't you think this is either going to be B+ or better or a D or worse?
No, yeah, you could have gone A or F and I would have agreed with you.
Yeah.
Really and truly. This might as well be a pass-fail course. I mean, there are really no grades assigned here. This is either you pass or you fail. There's no in between. So, the other job we've not heard a lot about, and we've talked a little bit about it because I blew up in a rant earlier in the show when Rex Ryan was defending Lane Kiffin and how it's the kids in NIL that are causing coaches to move. Apparently, he's not paid attention to the college football landscape, I don't know, over the last quarter century. But, David, the Penn State job is still open.
Right.
The BYU coach was thought to now be their lead candidate.
Apparently, he's been offered the job.
You've also mentioned that super agent Jimmy Sexton, there are rumors abound that he's not letting any of his clients apply for the job.
Right.
Because James Franklin was his client and they fired him. So I had thought for a while, and I may be dead wrong. I'm like, do they have Hartline already done? The Ohio State offensive coordinator.
Right.
Is that already done? And when Ohio State either wins the Natty or loses in the playoff, they'll make that announcement.
Well, and I was wondering, if you had Hartline done, did you announce it 48 hours ago, or are you waiting until right after the Big Ten championship game? But to me, with recruits, by the way, Franklin is bringing apparently his entire Penn State recruiting class now to Virginia Tech. He's plucking off a guy a day. The Penn State recruiting class, which was top 5 in the country, is being destroyed by James Franklin. So every day that goes by here is painful. Never mind, we've got early signing period beginning tomorrow. And that's why, Mark, yesterday was the first time that I thought, wow, they don't have a contract in the drawer, because if you're Penn State, you got to announce that sucker right now. You know, like, now, granted, Oregon's not playing this week, but, you know, Will Stein, the offensive coordinator, is leaving Oregon. He's going to stay through the playoff, but he's leaving Oregon. I know Ohio State has a job or a game this coming weekend, okay, but we can debate how meaningful it is, to be brutally honest with you. And also, to me, you can still announce it on Sunday, even if you have to hold off a week on the presser. I think you got to announce Hartline if you've got the deal done, because you're hemorrhaging recruits.
And if they don't have a deal in a drawer, what the hell have they been doing? No, seriously, this is, you know, you could argue whether or not Franklin should have been fired. I don't know how much better Penn State can do than James Franklin. I don't. I don't know if they're a team that can be better than Ohio State. I don't think they can. Under the current rules and under the current structure of economics in college football, Ohio State is at the top of it. They just are, like them or not. And that includes everybody in the SEC. An SEC guy, you can talk to me until you're blue in the face and tell me your conference is better. It is. But is there any one program in your conference that's better than the Buckeyes right now? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. Not to get kids to play on Sunday, not to get them to do what they do on Saturday. Ryan Day had one bugaboo. It was beating the University of Michigan. He finally got that done.
Well, it's funny because he had lost 4 in a row. People forgot he actually beat him the first time he was coach.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was so long ago, and it's, you know, but yes, so even that's off his job. I mean, listen, right now, Ohio State's the number 1 job and program in the country, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
And I think by a decent
margin.
margin.
Right. By the way, this should have been a clue to us, Mark, but it was right as we were heading into the Thanksgiving holiday. Okay. When word started to get out there that there are Penn State people pushing for the interim head coach who's been with the Nittany Lions, I think 11 or 12 straight years, and he was with them before that. Okay. For Terry Smith, who has just won 3 in a row to make him bowl eligible. But when you start hearing there's a movement at work to make the interim guy the head coach, that should have been a clue to us that, then they must not have anybody, because if they have somebody, talk like this doesn't even get out because everybody knows it's absurd.
100%. It's just, it is fascinating looking. When we look back upon what was the craziest off the field season in college football in quite some time. I mean, think about it. The Florida coach, the LSU coach, the Penn State coach, a bunch of other coaches.
Auburn, Arkansas, Kentucky. We're just talking the SEC.
But Kentucky was postseason. I mean, the number of firings in season.
Yes, UCLA, right.
Virginia Tech. I mean, it's unprecedented.
Yes. I mean,
and
the NHL.
You look at Vatech and you go, wow. Take Lane aside. I said it. I'll say it the same way I said it before. The prettiest girl at the dance, and LSU got to go home. Okay, great. Take that and push it aside. Everybody wanted Lane. Vatech won they're next, right?
Wow. If Vatech's going to end up with the Penn State recruiting class, they're definitely going to win this offseason. My goodness.
And Vatech, which they talked about, I believe, before the season began, but it might have been during the season, that they have committed hundreds of millions of dollars to the athletic department, specifically the football program. So not only is Franklin bringing his recruiting class from Happy Valley to Blacksburg, he's also got the NIL money to go into the portal and continue to make this team better. What conference are they in again? Who's playing for the championship in that conference? How quickly can Virginia Tech do what, wait a minute, Indiana did? A lot more history at Vatech than there ever was at Hoosier football. And Kurt Cignetti's going to get a bye in the college football playoff. So don't tell me Vatech can't turn this around in a nanosecond. There are football players in Virginia. There are. So I'm fascinated by what Franklin's doing at Vatech, what Penn State hasn't done, and what becomes of Penn State because of it.
A couple of other tidbits here. Do you know that LSU is currently paying 3 head coaches?
Yes, I did see that yesterday.
Only for another 2 weeks. Apparently, Coach O, Ed Orgeron's last buyout payment is December 15th.
Go Tigers.
So currently, Coach O, Brian Kelly, and Lane Kiffin all on the payroll at LSU.
And Lane's buyout is higher than what Kelly's is. I just think for the record that needs to be stated as often as possible. $74 million, I believe, is the buyout for Lane. $74 million.
By the way, Golish got 6 years, and he got, I think, $45 million because he starts at $6.75 million and he gets a $250,000 raise a year. So that by the last year of his contract, 2031, he's making $8 million. All right, Mark, he also has performance bonuses. Okay, if he gets a 9th regular season win, that's an extra $1.5 million. If he wins 10 games, he gets $2 million. 11, another $1 million on top of it. A 12th regular season game, another $1 million on top of it. Mark, if he has a 12-win regular season, he will earn $5.5 million on top of his salary. Then we got bonuses for making the playoff, what round of the playoff, okay.
David, I'm pretty sure, though, that Jimmy Sexton worked out such a good contract for Lane that if an SEC team wins a national championship, Lane gets a bonus.
So it will be curious. 3 years from now, is that how long we give it? We used to give it 5. Do you give it 3 years now, or is it just 2 before you decide if someone's a success or failure?
I think it's 3. And by the way, you were talking about the James Madison guy potentially for Penn State.
Yeah, and now the word is UCLA.
Why? And I'm being serious here. You're at James Madison. You're doing a really good job. You're a hot name right now. Why on God's green earth would you take that job? That's one of the worst jobs in the Big Ten. They don't have any money. Nobody goes to their games. And nobody wants to go play football for UCLA. You're that desperate to get to the Big Ten? Man, I'd have waited. I'm sorry. I don't think that's the right move.
I'd have waited another week. The Penn State job might have been offered.
No doubt.
I'm Kurt Signetti, but 15 years younger. Hire me. I can bring 13 guys from here, too.
His best shot at getting the playoff is not at UCLA next year. It's hoping that Duke wins on Saturday because JMU's like a 24-point favorite in their conference championship game against Troy. Miller and Moulton, the Diamond District bonus hours next. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah!
Football season is back and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
No, you're right. No offset, CBW. 74 million, no offset. Saw that. It's amazing. It's amazing. And getting sued, by the way, by the Rose Bowl about trying to move.
Bob and Jake, Fox dictated the terms for CBS and NBC. Fox bought the rights to the Big Ten for $1 billion. They then sub-licensed 2 packages out, one to CBS and one to NBC. As part of the deal, they said to both CBS and NBC, you will never get the Ohio State-Michigan game. Just like, to be honest with you, CBS had the Florida-Georgia game. The one year they played it at night, the incidents happened, and we were stuck at CBS doing Florida-Georgia every year, even if there was a terrific game elsewhere. We had to do Florida-Georgia. But so that's why Fox dictated the terms of the whole TV deal. And they said, no, Ohio State-Michigan consistently is the highest rated game in the season, regular season. And so they said, yeah, we ain't giving that up. And they took 4 of the 7 Big Ten title games in the 7-year deal. CBS got 2, NBC gets 1. So Michigan, Ohio State will always be on Fox, at least for the rest of this decade. Will the TV deal change in the 2030s? It'll change, but I don't know if that part of it will change.
By the way, NBC is trying to sell the Big Ten title game next year, is it, David?
I believe so, yeah.
For $70 million.
They'll have no problems getting it. I think they can get $100 million if they tried.
Well, I saw it was the same price, basically, that Netflix was paying for the Christmas Day games. I think it's
right.
$70 million. That was the... I hope no one buys it, to let people know these conference championship games are a waste of all of our time.
Well, but it also shows how bad business-wise the Big Ten deal has been.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour. Final hour of the show on this first Tuesday of December. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Week 13 is in the books in the NFL. 5 weeks to go. For some teams, it's only 4 games to go. As some teams will have buys. I think the final bye week is this coming weekend. I know the Patriots and Giants have buys. I don't know if anyone else does
Carolina
as well.
and San Francisco, David.
There you go. The college football regular season has come and gone. It's conference championship weekend. We'll have plenty of time to discuss it. Curious, could be a poll question for tomorrow or later in the week, Mark, whether or not, you, the fan, what's your level of interest in these conference championship games going forward? It was an hour and a half ago that arguably the biggest game of the year was the SEC championship game. And now you have diehard SEC people, never mind coaches in the SEC, who are kind of like, I don't even know if we should have this anymore.
David, I know Georgia fans. My son is not one of them. He's fired up that they got another shot at Alabama. He thinks it's great. He's the only Georgia fan I know that is actually excited that Georgia's playing in the SEC championship. I'm being serious. Like I don't know another dog fan that's fired up. If you are, 21,000's the text line. Let us know. Which, I know they do this in all these states, but there's nothing to me that screams I need an extra $40 for the state fund than seeing a Florida license plate with a Georgia G on it, that you can actually buy a University of Georgia themed license plate in Florida. And for the record, you can buy a Florida one in Georgia too. So it's not unique. It's just one of those things that, could you imagine? I know we all try to, maybe you can, but I can't imagine living in Ohio, going to the DMV and buying a license plate with the block M on it.
I hear you, but I also know if you're living in the northern part of Ohio, yet your loyalties are,
No, I'm talking about the.
No, I know. By the way, getting back to these conference championship games, here is something I don't understand. Like, to the Bama or Georgia fan that doesn't want this game, to the Ohio State or Indiana fan that doesn't want this game. First off, I don't see how an Indiana fan could be against this game. I mean, really? How many Big Ten football championships you guys got? You don't want to play for the Big Ten football championship? If that's the case, we got to talk.
By the way, not just a Big Ten football championship, and I know no one cares about the award the way they once did, but Mendoza there has a performance and they beat the Buckeyes. It's a Big Ten championship and possibly a Heisman Trophy. Not a lot of Heisman winners that went to Indiana, if you know what I mean.
No.
Not a lot. I think it's none.
But also, it's not like you're going to play the following weekend. I would say to Alabama and Georgia, it's not like if you lose, you're playing the following Friday or Saturday. The worst case scenario is you're going to play again in 13 days. You might play again in 14 days. And you don't want to win the SEC? At what point did winning this conference all of a sudden mean nothing to you? You used to talk only about getting to Atlanta. Mark, remember? It's the thing I learned about Big Ten football. Big Ten fan always talked about getting to the Rose Bowl. They didn't even talk about winning it. They just talked about getting to the Rose Bowl. That was it. They didn't talk natties. They didn't even really talk about winning a Rose Bowl except for Michigan because they seemingly always went there and lost. Okay, but it was just getting there. Mark, I spent 20 years in the SEC. Just about every program, all they did was talk about getting to Atlanta.
I got you.
You're right. And in an hour and a half, that means nothing. Also, you wait 220 days. That's the longest drought is the college football drought from last game to first game. 220 days. And now you're blowing off games? I thought you were begging for more games.
Well, first off, I'll answer all of those questions in order if I can. I agree with you on Indiana 100%. You're right. It was just getting to the Rose Bowl, and then in the SEC, it was just getting to Atlanta. But you see, David, for most of those years getting to Atlanta, when we had 4 teams in a playoff, it was a quarterfinal game. It was flat out. Everybody knew it. If you won that game, you guaranteed yourself a spot in the playoff. Now, if you lose that game, you're losing a bye. You are. Georgia's not getting a bye if they lose to Alabama. They're not going to be one of the top 4 seeds. I don't believe. Now, I think Ohio State and Indiana both get byes, unless the Buckeyes just go out and beat them 56-7.
And vice versa.
I know I have trouble seeing that happen. But I think, I think Alabama can play their way. If Alabama wins this, can they be one of the top 4 seeds?
Absolutely.
Totally.
Absolutely. Well, they've beaten Georgia twice. Will be the 11-2 SEC champion. The SEC clearly regarded as the best conference in the country. Shouldn't the SEC champion be worthy of a bye? Yeah. I think Alabama will get a 4 seed if they win this. I think the loser, if Alabama wins, I think the loser of the Big Ten title game falls to 3 tops. They may not even move unless Indiana wins and the 2 flip-flop.
So I think those are all part of it. And we went from 4 to 12. And that the goalpost moved. Now all teams talk about is winning a natty. It's NFL light. That's what it is. There are certain programs that'll just be happy to get into the playoff, just like certain NFL teams. When they make the playoffs, it's a big deal. For others, it's not what they're looking for. I mean, hell,
CBW.
the coach in Pittsburgh might get fired even if his team makes the playoff and loses in the first round again. They've had enough of that in Pittsburgh. Whereas there are other teams that if they get in the playoffs, it's a pretty big deal.
CBW in our YouTube chat room says, should IU or Ohio State rest players to avoid injuries? Now, that will be interesting if that starts to happen. You know, if the teams themselves are basically stiff-arming the conference championship game, that will hurt. You know, that's yet to happen with the Big Two. And I think for the Big 12 and the ACC, winning the game is still a big deal within its conference because, well, let's face it, right now, they're not guaranteed more than a bid. So winning the damn game's pretty important. It might be the only bid the league gets.
And it's why the rankings tonight are a big deal. Not the top, but 8, 9, and 10 in the bottom. Because someone in our YouTube chat room says Alabama's out if they get rolled. I have trouble seeing them getting rolled. And I have trouble seeing the committee bouncing a team because they lost the conference championship game in the best conference in the country. I do. Now, Alabama gets rolled and BYU beats Texas Tech. Well, then I'm a little more interested of what the rankings look like tonight. And then the underlying factor of tonight's rankings. What's the committee going to do with Ole Miss? They lost their coach, their play caller. Are they going to penalize them for that? They shouldn't, but will they? Remains to be seen.
I think it will be a token adjustment. I think they will flip Oregon and Ole Miss like the AP did. I think they may move Ole Miss down a spot, but they will still be in position, I believe, to host a playoff game. And let's be honest. Okay, first off, apparently, does a quarterback mean so much more than a head coach who's also the offensive coordinator? But also, let's be brutally honest. It's the ACC versus the SEC. Okay. They stuck it to an ACC team. Why? ESPN wanted Alabama in the playoff. Okay. And the Jordan Travis injury set it up. You can go back, by the way, 2 weeks before Selection Sunday. Herb Street and the boys were talking about it. Okay. The fix was in. It was, they can deny whatever they want. Okay. And it's because it was an ACC school versus an SEC school, and the SEC school was named Alabama. Okay, they are not going to penalize an SEC school, particularly this year. The league's getting 5 unless BYU upsets Texas Tech. And as we've talked about now for a while, who loses the bid? Does the SEC lose their 5th team, or does Texas Tech get tossed out by losing the rematch to BYU?
And I don't think that they will, but it's also why 8, 9, and 10's a big deal. Because if it does happen, who are they taking out? Alabama? Oklahoma? Notre Dame?
Like you just mentioned a scenario, which I'm also curious. Like I think they'll flip-flop Oregon and Ole Miss. But I wonder, will they flip-flop Oklahoma and Notre Dame? Oklahoma, not very impressive in getting by LSU. In fact, trailing mid-4th quarter at home. Do they flip Notre Dame and Oklahoma, which would A, ensure that Notre Dame's in, and B, put Oklahoma on the bubble? Because Miller and Moulton believe Bama's in by making the SEC title game. Doesn't matter where they're ranked tonight. They're in the game, they're in.
I mean, a loss to Georgia is going to knock them out? Hell, they've been riding Notre Dame's losses for ranking them where they are the entire season. And what do they do with Duke and James Madison? Where do they enter the survey?
Something to keep in mind. Last year, the committee chose SMU over Alabama. Okay. So do you really think they're going to make Alabama the odd team out again if they lose the SEC title game? We don't believe so. Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Sparty just lost their best player to the portal.
Football?
Yeah. The Eagles OC's house was egged by fans.
I know.
What the hell?
Yep.
We take this stuff a little too seriously.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts, a pick or two. Coming up. Thanks for being with us. Our poll question. You're South Florida. You have a football head coaching vacancy. Do you hire John Gruden or anybody else?
Pretty split right now. I think 55-45 say hire Gruden. That's because I don't think anybody can think about who the anybody else is. Not, I mean, there are candidates out there, but not people that you've really heard of unless you are really into group of 6 college football teams. Because that's where it's coming from. Or a coordinator from a power school. But you know the point that I'm making.
And if you disagree with the premise of the question, we are of the belief that if you start to go down the Gruden road, that's the only road you're going down. Okay. That you're either you like the idea of Gruden and you're in on the idea. Well, then you're not going to hire Willie Simmons of FIU. You're not going to hire somebody's OC. All right. If you like the idea of Gruden, you're hiring John Gruden. Or you think, no, man, it's a sideshow. It's a circus. I want no part of it. Huh. Okay. That's fine.
David, there has been a lot more noise in the last week than there really was in the 2 or 3 weeks prior about where Miami's ranked versus Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. Now, you and I have talked about this subject a lot. For the record, I don't think you've changed. We both believe Miami should be ranked ahead of Notre Dame. Am I correct? Am I putting any words in your mouth there?
You are not.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. So for the record, I want to get that out there to people that are listening. We believe that Miami should be ranked ahead of Notre Dame. Why the hell do they play the games if you don't look at head-to-head? Nationally, people from The Athletic, Colin Cowherd, others, and Cowherd covers college football probably as well as any national show does. They don't spend a lot of time talking college football.
No, I would say he covers it the best of the national guests.
He likes college football a lot.
Yes. Yep.
He's on the Miami train. There are people in The Athletic that have weighed in that covered the sport. I believe, and stop me if you disagree with anything I say, that Miami was kind of locked into where they are the moment they didn't put them ahead of BYU last week.
Correct.
That's the hurdle that I don't believe they can get over. Now, BYU could lose and they could move Miami ahead of them next week. But I don't see a scenario tonight where Miami jumps BYU and then therefore would have an opportunity to jump Notre Dame. I mean, you would have to move Notre Dame to 11, Miami to 10, and BYU to 12. I don't see that happening. Do I think it should happen? Hell yes. But I don't believe, with everything the committee said, and we all know that there's not been a group that can change its mind with regularity quite as much as the College Football Playoff Committee. But I don't believe by what they've said over the past few weeks that that's going to happen, despite the fact that a lot more people are now pushing for the Canes to be ahead of Notre Dame.
Paul Feinbaum, Josh Pate have both gone on the Four Letter Network and said they think Miami should be ahead of Notre Dame. Listen, Miller and Moulton have been pretty clear about this for 3 weeks now, that we didn't think that Miami would move ahead of Notre Dame. We looked at the remaining schedules and didn't matter the results. Notre Dame blew out Pitt. Miami blew out Pitt. They weren't going to do it. And when the
when the new guy on the committee last week said we don't even have Miami in the same tier as Notre Dame, okay, they're boxed out. The committee has boxed them out. They can move Alabama ahead of Notre Dame. They could switch, and so now Notre Dame is 10. They could move Miami ahead of BYU, and now Miami is 11. But how do you, in a week's time, go from one team is 9 and one team is 12? They both have blowout wins, okay? The team that last week you had is 12 and not in the same area code. You said it out loud. We don't have them on the same tier as the team who's 9. And now you're going to move them ahead of them in a week? I don't see it. I don't see it. I think Miami, second year in a row, by the way, Miami was second team out last year. I think there's a chance Miami's first team out this year.
I agree with that. Because I think Texas Tech's going to beat BYU, and Miami will then jump BYU, but that's going to put them at 11. And with the 10 basically qualifiers plus the G6 team and the ACC or another G6 team getting automatic bids, it'll leave Miami at 13 when it's all said and done. So I would be stunned. I don't get too shocked anymore over polls or rankings, but I would be stunned to see a scenario where tonight Miami's ahead of Notre Dame. And since they both don't play next week, I don't know how it could change in the final result. So that's just where we are. We've been pretty consistent about this for months of how we would rank the teams. But that's not what this committee has done. And like David said, when they didn't even say Notre Dame and Miami were on the same tier, so now that Miami beat Pitt and blew out Pitt, that put them on the same tier? I don't think so. I don't see it.
Remember, Notre Dame also blew out Pitt at Pitt. In fact, Pitt called timeout and scored a touchdown with a 2-point conversion with 5 seconds to go to make that score more respectable when Notre Dame had their third-string defense in. And the only other score Pitt had in the game was a defensive one. If you're paying attention, you got to equate the Notre Dame at Pitt and the Miami at Pitt results the same.
So that's that part of the discussion from where we sit. We do think where they put Oklahoma, Alabama, Notre Dame is important tonight.
Yes, yes.
Because if BYU wins, we're of the belief Texas Tech is in. I would be stunned if Texas Tech loses and gets pushed out. It could happen, but it would surprise me a lot.
That the bubble spot could come down to Texas Tech versus the 5th SEC school, or possibly Notre Dame. Okay. But I mean, tonight, the top 10 are in. The only way one of those 10, in our opinion, doesn't get in is if BYU, who last week was 11, upsets Texas Tech in the Big 12 title game, which then begs the question, who in the top 10 is going to get asked to leave and not make the playoff? That's the top 10. Then there's the bottom 5. How do they rank the American schools? But James Madison or Duke, which one appears in the poll that wasn't in it last week? It's important because if James Madison wins the Sun Belt to cap off a 12-1 season, would they be regarded as better than an 8-5 Duke who's an ACC champion? Right now, Duke does not have a single vote, not one, in the AP or coaches poll. And 40 teams in both polls have votes, and Duke doesn't have a single vote. But what does the committee do, which is a very political group?
So do you think, I mean, look at, the ACC should be punished for their tiebreaker system. I truly believe that. I would love to see Duke win and have the committee leave the ACC out of the tournament. I don't believe that's going to happen. And when you look at, some of the metrics, strength of schedule and all, believe it or not, Duke has better wins than James Madison does. They don't have a better record, but they have better wins.
Now, we could argue whether or not Duke should go or Miami. I mean, Miami should be in the game, not Duke.
Yeah, the ACC is themselves to blame right now.
Totally. I mean, the 5th tiebreaker of a 5-team playoff, and none of the first 4 was the college football playoff ranking. Seriously? Wouldn't you look at the tiebreaker scenario and go, don't we want our highest ranked team in the game?
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You already have to get clearance for the Army-Navy game?
No, I haven't received anything yet. He was at the game last year as president-elect. He wanted nothing to do with us.
So I never got contacted by the Secret Service. So my understanding is the network and he are negotiating.
Gotcha. I didn't realize he was coming to right now. I just saw it.
Yeah. We got the word yesterday that he was coming. We were led to believe over the weekend that he was, but we got official word yesterday. So I'll wait to see. If the Secret Service doesn't reach out by Thursday, then he ain't planning on coming to the booth.
And CBW, David tried to make me bet him yesterday that Duke would be ranked. I wouldn't take the bet. David said they'll be 25th, and I think he's going to be right.
What if they're not ranked tonight, though? The question that needs to be asked: who do you have ranked, or do you have 26 through 30? Do you have 31 through 35? Where do you have Duke and James Madison? Now, it doesn't mean that you can't take Duke if you have them behind James Madison and leapfrog James Madison. I mean, Duke's playing Virginia, a top 20 team. Whether they should be or not, it's a different story. Virginia's strength of schedule's in the 70s. 70s. I think it's the lowest, outside of Oklahoma State, I think it's the lowest ranked strength of schedule in the country amongst the Power 4 teams. Probably at the end of the year, CBW, like after the bowls.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till we're done for the day. If you missed Bob Pockrass, Joe Henderson, both in our 7 a.m. Eastern hour, or Pat Kirwan in our 8 a.m. Eastern hour, you can go to millerandmoulton.com and download what you missed. By the way, curious on the text line, because I haven't seen a ton of comments in the Twitch or YouTube chat room. Are you and I the only people that care about this Michael Jordan NASCAR federal trial?
David, I'm going to be honest with you right now.
That's what I want.
You're the only one that cares.
Oh, come on now. You don't care about NASCAR, but you do care about the trial. The result of the trial interests you.
The result of the trial interests me. I asked early in the show, when we brought it up in our second segment, I asked people to text me if they knew what the trial was about. No one knew what it was about. Had a few people say, no, what's it about? Explain. And at the end of the day, I just typed in money and sent it back. But that's, at the end of the day, it's about money. But they are trying to transform a sport. And that was the question I asked Bob Pockrass. There's no PIF fund ready to sponsor a new NASCAR series out there. There's nowhere for these guys to go if they lose.
It will be interesting if supposedly it's a 9-person jury. I think it's 6 women and 3 men. I believe the ratio is 6-3. I thought it was female to male. But anyway, apparently none of the 9 follow NASCAR and are NASCAR fans. They all know who Michael Jordan is, but none of them are NASCAR fans. Okay. It will be curious to me. Let's just say they're racing novices, which, even in North Carolina. Okay. I'll be curious, Mark, if you get 9 sports/racing novices, whether or not they would consider IndyCar and NHRA and what have you to be legitimate competition to NASCAR. Okay, because clearly NASCAR is going to say, well, they can go to IndyCar. We've had drivers leave and go to IndyCar. We've had drivers come from IndyCar, go back to IndyCar.
But in some of the discovery the people that are apparently saying that NASCAR executives wanted to shut down Tony Stewart because he owns that dirt racing and NASCAR racers were going to race in it and they had to get rid of that. That's part of the discovery that's interesting to me, David.
I agree. But anyway, so Moulton kind of Miller will follow the NASCAR trial over the next 2 weeks. We will tell you shortly before Christmas how it ends up.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start in 1804. Napoleon, crowned Emperor of France. The Pope was there. It was a big deal. 1816, the first savings bank in the U.S., the Philadelphia Savings Funds Society opens. 1823, President James Monroe declares the Monroe Doctrine. Don't know what other doctrine he'd declare. 1845, President Polk announces to Congress that the U.S. should aggressively expand into the West. The term Manifest Destiny was coined by newspaper editor John O'Sullivan.
Did he mean the Mountain West or the Pac-12? What was he talking about? Is this the prelude?
It was the Pac-8.
Gotcha. Is this the prelude to the Big Ten grabbing Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA?
Very nice.
Thank you.
1901, businessman King Gillette starts selling safety razor blades. 1941, Japanese Marshal Admiral Yamamoto sends his fleet to Pearl Harbor. Today in 42, the first self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction occurs at the University of Chicago. All right, now we get to some more fun stuff. Today in 72, Anthony Davis scores 6 touchdowns against Notre Dame as USC beats the Fighting Irish 45-23. He would have 4 runs for touchdown, and he would run back 2 kickoffs.
That is my very first college football memory.
Really?
I was 3 weeks shy of 7 because I was 72, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Grew up, Notre Dame household, so to speak, and USC Notre Dame, and I remember Anthony Davis returning the kickoff and USC with the big comeback win, and that's my earliest college football memory.
You know what your mom was grooving to that night? Number 1 song in the land in 1972, and their last chart topper, The Temptations. Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Ooh.
My mom wore this damn album out. Today in 78, the number 1 song in the land, Neil Diamond, Barbra Streisand, You Don't Bring Me Flowers. Thriller debuted on MTV today in 83, the 14-minute video.
Unbelievable. I was freshman in college. We were getting ready for finals. We all stopped what we were doing. It was massive.
It really was. Today in 84, Marino breaks the single-season touchdown record when he throws for his 37th in a loss to the Raiders. He finished with 48 touchdown passes.
Right.
In 1984.
Right. His second year in the league, and he smashes the record by like 33%. Right.
It was a Monday night a year later when Ditka and Buddy Ryan almost come to blows at halftime. The Dolphins would beat the Bears 38-24. Cling those champagne glasses. It was Chicago's only loss of the season.
I believe it is still the highest rated Monday Night Football game ever.
Naked Gun premiered today in 88. That is one funny movie.
Yes.
Nice beaver. 1991. Former Pirates outfield Bobby Bonilla becomes the highest paid player when he agrees to a record $29 million 5-year deal with the Mets. He's still getting paid.
And at the press conference said, quote, "You will never wipe this smile off my face." Right. Didn't last 7 months.
Today in 95, Mario Tremblay, the coach of the Montreal Canadiens, wanted to show that he was boss, not Patrick Waugh, and he left him in for 9 goals. When he finally pulled him, Waugh walked past Tremblay, walked up to the general manager, and said, "I've played my last game as a Canadian."
Wasn't he like the president of the Canadiens? I mean, it wasn't even the
No, he
GM.
was a broadcaster. Tremblay was a broadcaster or worked in media. They brought down to coach. The GM was somebody different. He walked to the GM and said, he walked past the coach down the hall. The GM's like in the third row of the stands and said, "I've played my last game as a Canadian."
And he was right.
They would trade him to the Avalanche. He would win the Stanley Cup that year. Today in 97, Good Will Hunting premiered.
Love that movie.
Oh, it's tremendous.
I stop and watch it every time it's on.
I don't know if this is like the end of society as we know it, but it's certainly a sign. It was today in 2003 that the reality show The Simple Life with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie premiered on Fox Television. 06, the Gators would beat Arkansas 38-28 for the SEC championship.
A stunningly important game in the last 20 years because USC had just lost to UCLA. That win, Gary Danielson's point making, the matchup graphic, got Florida into the national title game against Ohio State instead of Michigan, and then the Gators won it, and the SEC run was underway.
This is really just for Miller and Moulton. Alexander Haig and Pitcher Dave Kyle would have celebrated birthdays today.
I'm in charge here.
Secretary of State Alexander Haig. I'm in charge here. Look it up.
Reagan had just been shot. The media was wondering, where's Vice President Bush? Turns out he was in Texas at an event. They had him get on Air Force Two and come back, but he was in the air when Haig was holding the presser, or the press secretary was. And so somebody go, "Well, who's in charge right now?" And Haig steps in front of the press secretary and goes, "I'm in charge here."
Which is not even close to what the way the things work.
Right. It's actually the Speaker of the House, but, whatever.
But for that moment, it was fantastic. Goalie Gary Cheevers is 85. NHLer and NHL coach Paul Holmgren, 70. O.J. McDuffie, 56. Monica Seles, 53. Natalie Furtado is 47. Britney Spears is still crazy, and she's 44. Aaron Rodgers, also a little nutty. He's 42. And Ashton Genty is 22. What did I miss, David?
I don't think you missed a thing, to be honest with you. And if you did, whatever.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Not that I would ever compare myself to this person, but it was a long time ago that maybe the greatest person in radio history said, "Lesbians sell." I was between the Pope and lesbians for the good. I'm going lesbians. There was a lesbian pie eating contest in San Francisco, and
boy.
Babs Detch, 81 years old, won the contest and given the title of Best Technique. You can find the videos yourself.
Are you going to explain to your very Catholic wife the choice you made for
Hell
the good,
no.
in the good, the bad, and the ugly?
No. I went to the lesbian who won the
Right, I know.
contest for Best Technique.
Right. You chose the lesbian over, quote, the Pope, unquote. Right. Mm-hmm.
She wrote that her victory was, and I quote, "proving once and for all that experience matters."
Oh, boy.
For the bad, we go to Pierce County, where a woman who was involved in 4 Whippet-related DUI incidents in less than 2 weeks was arrested Tuesday morning on 2 warrants. On November 12th, witnesses saw a woman sitting in her vehicle inhaling nitrous oxide. Apparently, witnesses told dispatchers that she looked sick and impaired while the car was running, and they were worried she might drive off and injure someone. Finally, the ugly. We go to Cape Coral, where Cape Coral police arrested a man who was repeatedly punching another driver before ramming into their vehicle. 31-year-old Thomas Coyle was cut off, in his words, and both drivers pulled over. Coyle approached the man's driver's side window and threw multiple punches after the man rolled his window down. The man tried to open the door while Coyle was still hitting him. He yelled for Coyle to stop and was finally able to open his door before pushing Coyle back in self-defense. Coyle went back to his Jeep and intentionally rammed into the man's vehicle. He was arrested on the scene. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, December the 2nd. And it's brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department, hiring new officers and other great jobs available. Great pay, great benefits, overtime opportunities. For more information, where should they go, David?
CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. All right. No football tonight.
You're right.
It's been 9 weeks. You've had football every day but one. Now you get into the period where you actually have to take a couple days off. There are 6 NBA games. You got the whole NBC Peacock doubleheader. Knicks and Celtics on NBC at 8. And then OKC Golden State on Peacock at 11. I'm assuming everyone listening is east of the Mississippi. Okay, NHL, 10 games. Lightning are on Long Island to face the Islanders. Panthers are home to host the Leafs. The struggling Leafs, by the way. Mark, your Wings are hosting the Bruins. Rangers hosting the Stars. You know, New York, all of 2 wins at home on the season. Okay, college hoops quickly. First off, your Spartans undefeated. Iowa's undefeated. They're hosting them. They're only a 5.5-point favorite.
Big Ten action starts tonight. Big game for Sparty and Iowa.
That game's on Peacock at 7. Gators and Duke, part of the ACC-SEC Challenge, 7:30 ESPN. UConn, Kansas at 9 o'clock on ESPN2. North Carolina, Kentucky, 9:30 on ESPN. Good night of college hoops.
Don't forget about that great Big Ten game at 10, USC at Oregon.
By the way, 5 o'clock today, ESPN2, the UConn women at South Florida. Miller and Moulton, have a great rest of your Tuesday.
There's something magical about the holidays, and at the Diamond District, it's the season we look forward to all year long.
The lights, the laughter, the feeling of giving. That moment someone opens a gift that truly sparkles.
When you walk through our doors, our team is ready to welcome you with warmth and expert guidance. No pressure, just people who love helping you create unforgettable moments.
Stunning diamond jewelry to wrap up the wonder of the season.
The Diamond District, se habla español.
At the Diamond District.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
The 2025 Industry Appreciation Awards in Fort Myers have wrapped up, but the celebration of business excellence continues, hosted by the Lee County Economic Development Office, Horizon Council, and Horizon Foundation. This annual event honors the innovators, job creators, and community builders driving the region forward. Visit IndustryAppreciationAwards.com to see this year's winners and learn how local businesses are shaping a stronger, more resilient economy for Lee County building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
When Glass Doctor replaces your windshield, we don't just send you on your way, we send you off protected. Your local Glass Doctor includes the industry's only 12-month windshield protection plan at no extra cost. That means unlimited chip repairs and even a one-time replacement if needed. High-quality service backed by real peace of mind, right here in your neighborhood.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Exclusions apply. See your local Glass Doctor for
Mark
details.
Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This is Miller and Moulton.